My name is Erica Lorraine Spencer, and I remain subject to state surveillance and terrorism by the state of California that is operating a malicious targeting system, which is referred to as federal group stalking and monitoring via communication devices. And it is in violation of federal stalking statute 18 U.S.C. sections 2261A subsections 1 and 2. My website and podcast serve the public good by publishing evidence of the public entity's ceaseless engagement in a pattern of conduct intended to stalk and monitor via communication devices, surveil, harass, and terrorize an American citizen in concert with the people of the state of California. Documentation serves the lawful purposes of wide exposure, federal prosecution, and influencing federal legislation with policies specifically designed to punish, dismantle, and disincentivize an unprecedented targeting system by a public entity that acts in concert with the people of the state in order to criminally place under surveillance and terrorize an American citizen, which is a matter of public corruption in the state of California. See thepatternofconduct.wordpress.com. It is currently 2:17 a.m. on Wednesday, July 27, 2022. At the Ontario Museum of History and Arts, I do want to document what is legally assessed as what is harassment as an entity. Harassment and intimidation, because the police are engaged in it as well. Harassment and intimidation by an entity engaged in federal stalking. And the entity is engaging in what are the elements of monitoring. So first of all, it's Union Pacific. The amplification, as I demonstrated in the video the entity was engaged in, the amplification of helicopter activity. Union Pacific is engaging in terrorism. They are engaged in what is the, first of all, the use of the Amtrak train tracks. Literally engaged in demonic pacing on a train track. And the entity is engaged in amplification of audible activity. The thunderous sound of a train that sounds as though it's right here in front of my face. It sounds as though it's surrounding the entirety of the museum. It also sounds as though, as though it's running anywhere near 630 North Fern, the Topora Professional Building, inside of the apartments of Woodside Senior Apartments, which is, again, amplified audible activity. So this is what the Union Pacific is engaged in. Union Pacific documented engaging in that terrorism. Doing so in directed light. So that's exactly what that is. I want to be clear. You are talking about what is audible activity that is serving a demonic purpose in directed light. Okay. So if you're questioning, with regard to, is it actually amplified? Can you actually hear? First of all, you're not going to be able to, you cannot hear the train, for example, from this location at Woodside Senior Apartments. Okay, the entity is amplifying audible activity. The entity is amplifying the sound of a train while I'm here at the museum. And that which is further corroborating this is the presence of light, which is impossible, inexplicable light that is unnatural, light that does not shoot horizontally and spread across the face of the museum. The impossible light activity is here because the rest of the elements are underway. Demonic activity is underway. Demonic activity is also that which you are observing through the environment relative to what is audible. Okay. It is amplified audible activity. Union Pacific is engaged in that terrorism, surrounding with the sound of the train that is not sounding as though it's behind the museum. It sounds as though it's right here in the courtyard where this impossible light activity is. That's amplification. So I just want to be clear on that. The demons that are the Ontario Police Department that know very well that they were captured on video in 2 helicopters that were pacing around in directed light. They know of the hundreds of videos that are already captured against them. They are engaging in what is the amplification of what are sounds of sirens. And these are demons. Again, I'm breaking down what's criminal conduct. That's criminal summoning. All right. That's also harassment and intimidation by an entity engaged in federal stalking. That's what that is with regard to a prosecution in federal court. With regard to the demonic activity that is underway, the entity is engaging in sounding these sirens. They continue sounding the sirens. These are demons that know exactly what I'm doing. In the same way that they're sex offenders, they know in real time when my panties are down. They know while I'm in the process of pulling my panties down, they know everything that's going on inside of a restroom without even physically being there. You're dealing with Satan. This is demonic activity. In the same way, understand the entity is engaging in what is sounding sirens with the full knowledge of the fact that I am unconscious. I'm sleeping. Okay? The moment that I wake up is when the sirens stop. These are demons. Okay, this is what the Ontario Police Department is engaging in. This is demonic conduct. This is harassment by a demon-possessed entity, an entity that's posing an impermissible threat. This is how you're prosecuting the demon-possessed that are harassing you. In addition to that, you have what are the people of the state that come onto the property of the museum to engage in raising their voice, hollering, and yelling out, singing and whatnot. This is called audible activity. It's occurring in directed light. It's in concert with the police. All right. This is, again, the entity that's engaging in what is this harassment and intimidation with the police. And this particular minion is doing so on behalf of the people of the state. I have a pool of defendants who will be engaging in, who will be prosecuted for this third party that represents the people of the state. So it's not anonymous criminal activity. Nobody's getting away with anything. This demon that is now gone physically from the museum is not necessarily here. This is group stalking. And you have what is conduct that's done as a group. And what is a ceaseless pattern of conduct. And you have what is, again, a demon-possessed pilot or a demon-possessed group stalker at the Ontario International Airport that'll serve time in federal prison for what this third party is engaging in here at the museum. All right, creating audible activity, monitoring, and terrorizing with Union Pacific and the Ontario Police Department. That's how group stalking, that's how prosecution of that group conduct works. I just want to clarify. But you have the entity that is sounding plane activity as well. Again, the planes sound as though they're taking off. Like this is the airport and the plane is taking off the ground. No, it's amplified audible activity. That's why directed light is here, by the way. Okay. That's why that environment is here. It is amplified audible activity. There are no planes taking off from the museum. The entity is clearly seen, as I documented what is the stalking with planes. The entity is amplifying plane activity over me. The entity is amplifying train activity around me. The entity is amplifying sirens around, using them as a means of stalking with audible activity with regard to the demon's knowledge of the fact when I wake up from sleeping, even as I keep my eyes closed. These are very much demons, okay? The entity is engaging in this. I want to be clear. First of all, this is the prosecution of the Ontario International Airport, Union Pacific, the Ontario Police Department, and the people of the state. Second of all, the entity is engaging in the same way. Let me capture this because I want you to see where these demons are flying directly over. Alrighty, capturing video of the Ontario International Airport, engaging in the same exact conduct of the Ontario Police Department. Understand that. They're using a commercial airline plane to cross path amongst amplified audible activity in directed light in relevant position. The only difference is that the Ontario International Airport are using airplanes. The Ontario Police Department are using helicopters. It is equally unlawful in that which is punishable by federal prison and time in a mental institution. All right. With regard to showing the same instability, all right, with regard to your conduct and engagement in that criminal activity, your mental instability, which shall be brought into question. It is at the very center of your prosecution. And this is no anonymous criminal activity while the entity is using commercial airline planes and clearly stalking. You see them concentrating their presence where I'm located at the museum. This is where they are engaging in demonic pacing right above me. As I move from this venue, this is where the entity is keeping commercial airline planes, as I document on an ongoing basis, remaining on the south side of my person in whatever direction that it is that I'm traveling in Ontario. And this is how they are using commercial airline planes and airplanes in general to engage in group stalking conduct. And they're doing so in concert with the corrupt police department. And so I did pause in order to capture that video, and I'm going to include that video on my podcast. It is currently, right now it is 2:30 a.m. I captured that video a couple minutes ago. I did pause in order to capture that video because I wanted to get the visual, of what the entity was engaging in. There's no planes taking off at the museum. You see it flying, however, at a very low elevation. The Ontario International Airport, if the plane was actually taking off like you see as though the entity is taking off over the museum, the Ontario International Airport, where you are taking off at the ground and the rate at which they are quote unquote rising in elevation over the museum, the entity would not be at any elevation where you would hear the plane if this indeed was the case coming from the Ontario Museum. Coming from the Ontario International Airport. And in addition to that, the entity is engaging in what is conduct that is occurring amongst directed light. This is how you are understanding what is indeed targeted and intentional conduct occurring in that specific environment. It's a part of the environment that is being deliberately maintained. It is group stalking in that demonic environment. These are demons that are flying airplanes. In addition, the Ontario International Airport is heavily documented engaging in the same exact conduct, as though planes are taking off over the Stater Brothers parking lot. Planes are taking off when I'm walking down whatever street, be it Hope Boulevard, Fern Avenue, over the venues on Fern Avenue, including 630 North Fern. Those are not planes that are taking off over the residential areas. Those are planes that are at a low elevation where they have long left what would supposedly be the Ontario International Airport. It has nothing to do with coming from an airport and maintaining flight that are coincidentally over me, and what I am showing is a pattern of impossible light activity during the day under what is coincidentally the fake sun. This is the entity that is stalking with airplanes. The entity does so as I'm documenting on my podcast. So this is why I pause and capture that, because I want you to see what the entity was doing while I was sleeping, doing so in concert with the people of the state and the Ontario Police Department, Union Pacific as well. And so these were all means of amplified audible activity. And as I pointed out in that video, which is what I want to again reiterate on this podcast, because it is the truth. This is darkness as I am speaking and exposing it. It's criminal activity, and there is a federal response with regard to what the entity is engaging in. The entity is stalking using the sound of sirens, even as they use it as a means to wake me up, which Satan is aware of. Stalking with audible activity is what that demonic behavior that the Ontario Police Department were engaging in. That's prosecuted as criminal summoning, harassment and intimidation by an entity, the same entity that's fully documented engaging in what is stalking with helicopters. Demons engage in stalking with helicopters, by the way. They also do that in directed light. So you cannot explain that light. This is also a venue where you cannot explain what's the sun that's rising over, because that's not the sun. It's also not the sun that's setting in alignment to the same property. This is where you're stalking in helicopters. You are a demon-possessed group stalker. Where that environment, this is shown as a matter of fact, and the fact that you are a stalker is shown as a matter of fact. The fact that you are stalking and using sirens and doing so while you know that I am asleep and then awaking and ceasing the sound of those sirens is demonic behavior. This is also prosecuted as terrorism. And this is what the Ontario Police Department are doing, while Union Pacific is a means of surrounding with the thunderous sound of trains, which is amplified audible activity. This is demonic in concert with the police, not anonymous criminal activity. You have what is civil and criminal prosecution for that, and you have people that will sit in federal prison for that. It's not going unaddressed, in other words. The entity is doing so while I stated in that video. That is the conduct. What you're listening to is called impunity, and that's relevant when I prosecute the entity, and you're looking at the faces of those that are going to answer for it, not only by draining their pockets, the pockets of these companies and these establishments, but also a criminal prosecution. You're going to listen to this tape of audible activity while Satan continuously engaged in it, because that's what it is. Union Pacific and the Ontario International Airport and the Ontario Police, who are sitting around in a helicopter. Those demons are not ever taking a pause from stalking me. And they're also sitting around in relevant position in vehicles, listening to every word that I'm stating, listening to my breathing patterns, listening to every syllable of the truth that I speak, all right? And listening to me rebuke what is dark magic that they're engaging in while they're being pathetic minions, engaging in witchcraft. And this is what I'm speaking to. This is the significance of what the entity was engaging in, and that's what I spoke to in the video. And this is the significance. Yes, the entity is engaging in... They're engaging in what is the elements of monitoring. This is criminal monitoring. This is group stalking. This is criminal surveillance and terrorism. I also want to let you know the entity is engaging in what is harassment by hostile demons, as I am capturing video, for example, of what is breaking down the demonic behavior of the Ontario Police Department stalking in helicopter, as I captured hours ago last night. The entity, again, this is the personality of Satan, will engage in some sort of retaliatory act to its own demise, serving for what is additional evidence, which I don't even need. I don't need that. They're going to federal prison and mental institutions and they're not getting out. So do I need this additional documentation? Absolutely not. But it is, of course, I'm going to document you. You're a criminal and a sex offender and an unstable, obsessed stalker. I'm going to document that. And I'm going to speak to what is the punishment, because when you're facing it in federal court, there's going to be no question as to whether or not you deserve it. Okay, there's no question about that. So the entity is engaged in what you deserve as a matter of justice. That's what I'm referring to. So the entity, as I stated in my video, because this is the truth, the entity, as it's engaging in the elements of monitoring, as it's a hostile, demon-possessed entity, engaging in what is harassment, because I continuously document and expose their satanic behaviors while they're criminally stalking and monitoring an American citizen in the United States of America. The entity is also practicing what is witchcraft, engaging in what are dark arts, which has no power. Satan has no authority over me. Satan cannot touch me. All right. So you're talking about what is literally engaging in your little dark dances around, and it is literally being returned. You have no consent, no authority, no binding power whatsoever. And I do bind it in the name of Jesus. And I just want to repeat that now. They have no authority, and you have demons that are engaging in that, which is absolutely futile. That is pathetic as well. But I want to speak clearly. There is significance to this demonic behavior that an entity is engaging in and using commercial means to do so. That's going to translate to what is a very real prosecution for companies such as Union Pacific and Southwest Airlines, for example, the Ontario International Airport. These are names that will be on paper, and I will drain the pockets of them, not because I want their money, but because they don't have a right. They're not operating legitimate businesses while they are fully exposed as engaging in surveillance and terrorism with the state, as the state, in the shoes of the state, with the corrupt police agencies. Here it is the Ontario Police Department. You're going to drain the pockets of those sort of actors. And that's what they're engaging in. They're doing that which is serving a futile purpose. There is no authority here. Satan has no authority. Satan cannot touch me. Satan is, I do bind that in the name of Jesus. And so I do want to go ahead and publish that as well. You have no power and zero authority, and you are witnessing your demise, which is being literally exposed before the world. You have not only lost, you've lost before the world. So I'm not only going to punish you, I have not only decreed what shall be your punishment shall be before the masses. You will be shamed as well. Okay, so this is the entity that's engaging in this pattern of conduct. It's 2:37 a.m. at the Ontario Museum of History and Arts. It's Wednesday, July 27, 2022, and this is P.O.C. This is the Ontario International Airport that is flying in directed light. They are group stalking with the Ontario Police Department. This is crossing path. This is the entity that, as I walk north up Euclid Avenue, as I leave the grounds of the museum, Southwest Airlines captured yesterday morning and the day before that in the morning, engaging in the same exact conduct, flying over me as the demons of 150 East Holt, the county building, are group stalking, sitting in surveillance, engaging in, sitting in their vehicles, while that is the means of audible activity, that being the plane, while they are pacing in the sky space. That's crossing path. The entity is crossing path in directed light. And I want to be clear, as I'm documenting on my podcast, the Ontario International Airport participating in demonic activity, which is shall be prosecuted as terrorism. Terrorism that it is engaging in with the people of the state, demons coming on the property of the museum to create audible activity to monitor with the police department. Union Pacific, the means of amplified audible activity, which is demonic. It's audible noise and engineered light. Okay. The entity is engaging in this with the Ontario Police Department, who are sounding sirens. Demons who know that I'm asleep, and even as I keep my eyes shut, immediately cease the sound of those sirens the moment that I become conscious and I wake up. Those are demons. That's Satan that knows when I'm sleeping and when I'm awake, not coincidentally creating that audible activity with simultaneity to my waking up. And I also want to be clear, that which I bind right now in the name of Jesus while they are practicing dark arts. This is witchcraft that they're engaging in while they are also harassing. I want to be clear, this is the Ontario Police Department. This is satanic conduct that they're engaging in. And it shall be prosecuted as the terrorism that's underway by what is in the demonic environment, by the Ontario International Airport, Union Pacific, the people of the state, and the Ontario Police Department, engaging in what is a satanic targeting system and practicing witchcraft, which has no affect. It is null and void, and I shall return it to sender. You have no consent and no affect. That's why I'm prosecuting you before the world. I want to be clear, it is currently right now 2:25 a.m. and I want to document this is prosecution for what is federal stalking by an entity engaged in harassment and intimidation by an entity engaged in federal stalking, engaging in what is harassment while they are hostile to the fact that I continuously expose what is group stalking by an entity. All right, and they're engaging in this conduct when I'm breaking down with regard to the, I want you to see the multiple shadows. This is engineer light. Okay. Well, with regard to this demonic conduct, the amplified audible activity of a demon that's hollering, amplified audible activity of the train, amplified audible activity of the plane, amplified audible activity of sirens, which stop with regard to knowledge, even as I keep my eyes closed, that I have awakened. The entity doing so repeatedly every time that I fall asleep. They are engaging in what is witchcraft. All right, this is satanic conduct in addition to what is criminal monitoring. All right, Satan has no effect. Satan cannot touch me. All right, and that demonic conduct, I want to speak right now, it has no affect. You have no power, and I return that to sender, and you're going to suffer consequences for that as well, in addition to what is the prosecution in the natural. All righty, it is currently, again, 2:26 a.m. This is P.O.C. The Ontario International Airport is repeatedly flying planes over the specific, just like you see in the video that I captured, and you can hear it in the video on my podcast, but I captured video of the entity flying over. This is what they are repeatedly doing, and doing so at an ongoing rate in directed light. This is an entity, I want to be clear, with regard to the federal government's involvement where you're prosecuting a state for engaging in this terrorism and this state surveillance, it's revealing, while the pattern of conduct is underway, you're understanding what is, as the entity engages in conduct, you're talking about what is an airport that shall be shut down. It's not going to exist anymore. It's illegitimate. It's engaging in criminal conduct. All right. There's no fixing that. You are removing it. And their obsessive stalking is showing the necessity of that very response by the federal government. It's the same thing with law enforcement agencies. Their engagement in that criminal activity, it's the removal of that law enforcement agency from existence. And that's the sheriff's department. That's the police department. That's the fire departments. The engagement, the facilitation of this state system. You're talking about what are shutting down these hospitals and removing, again, this exercise of authority under federal law where they're holding people under the guise of for their own good or for the good of the public, with exercising authority, for example, under welfare institutions. This is how this same entity is then engaging in what is kidnapping. You are understanding how you are disarming all of the aspects of this pattern of conduct. While I am simply documenting right now this obsession of stalking and doing so in airplanes with knowledge of the fact that you are being documented while doing so. This is speaking to the necessity. In other words, the federal government that you're engaging in essentially what is whistleblowing, where the federal government is alarmed and you're going to come in, you're going to prosecute, you're going to address this, you're going to remedy this. You are shutting down businesses. You're shutting down airports. You're shutting down the hornet's nest, the courts, the law enforcement agencies, the entity that's engaging in any means of facilitation, these hospitals, all right, the mental wards. This is where the entity is engaging in this sort of pattern of conduct. And the Ontario International Airport is an illegitimate business. They're not engaging in any conduct that is pertaining to taking off flights. They're focused on me, stalking me in airplanes in directed light during the day under a fake sun, literally following me step by step in the direction that I travel all day long. That's an airport that shall no longer exist. And there is no company, there is no business, there is no law enforcement agency, there is nothing that is in existence with regard to being too large, having too much money, exercising too much influence to pay that penalty under federal law. This is speaking to what the federal government must do upon the pattern of conduct being reported to the federal government, engaging in federal group stalking and monitoring. And that's the significance of the entity that is repeatedly flying planes over me at the Ontario Museum of History and Arts, all right, engaging in what is entirely demonic. You're going to shut that down, that being the airport, okay? That's entirely sick and demented. You're literally going to remove from existence the establishment that's facilitating this sort of surveillance by the state. All right. And that's just serving for how the ways in which you are remedying the corruption that's existing in a particular state. And that's what's going on in California. And the Ontario International Airport, and an international airport it may be, but it is an entirely corrupt one, serving for what is criminal conduct. And there is no level of business or money making or however long it's been in existence that's going to in any way surpass what is necessary with regard to remedying this issue of public corruption, which the federal government has a duty upon knowledge of what the state is doing. All right. So I just want to point that out. The Ontario International Airport just repeatedly pacing the, again, Union Pacific using the rail lines, using train tracks, which is relevant under federal law as well. Okay. Companies engaging in this, Union Pacific, they're still sounding, which again, I'm not stating anything new. Union Pacific is documented for years engaging in what is state surveillance and terrorism. The Ontario International Airport documented for years engaging in state surveillance and terrorism. I'm speaking to how you're going to address it. How you are necessarily addressing that which you are no longer ignorant, you are directly privy to, and it is satanic. It's speaking to what is an illegitimate existence by that company, by that agency, whatever sort type of agency it is. by that business, all right, by whatever type of venue. Alrighty. So anyway, I want to document that this is ongoing obsessive pacing over the museum, and doing so. It's at 3:19 a.m. This is P.O.C. It is 7:38 a.m. Yeah, that's called stalking with activity. That's called stalking with activity. The entity started the sound of a train, knows that I began recording. It's occurring under the fake sun and directed light, and begins sounding activity. As you hear a horn sounding, this is what the entity is engaging in, incessantly using as audible activity for the duration of the night. All right, and that sound of the train, waiting until I begin speaking, that's demonic behavior. That's the P.O.C. Demons stalk with audible activity. It's not coincidentally occurring. The fake sun is also over the museum. The entity is doing so all throughout the night, so I want to document. That's Union Pacific. That's engaging in that pattern of conduct and group stalking. This is terrorism. While a company is, again, participating in that, which is, or the guise under which satanic conduct is underway. In the same way that the entity is amplifying helicopter activity, while helicopters are at a distance and at an elevation where you're not going to hear them. It's not the actual sound of a train. This is demonic, what you're hearing. It's also demonic as the sound of the train waits until the moment I utter a word. Okay, that's the P.O.C. And I just want to document this, what the entity was engaging in, using as a means of ongoing amplified audible activity for the duration of the night, which is the incessant use. And by use of a train, as you heard that train, the entity immediately, seconds later, another train, and as though two trains are running at the same time. And as you hear that horn sounding, engaged in the prolonged sounding of such horns, amplified in volume, even vibrating the ground, which is sensational activity and impossible activity creation. It's demonic, and it is going toward what is prosecution for terrorism, and that's under a company name which is Union Pacific. All right, this is again July 27, 2022 at 7:40 a.m. This is P.O.C. at the Ontario Museum of History and Arts. All right, that is seconds later. The entity is sounding ongoing train activity. There's actually no train on the tracks. So I'm just speaking to, again, the actual audible activity, and the things that are going on around you have no relation to one another. The entity is creating helicopter activity around me, as I captured a video where the helicopters are at a distance, and you're not able to hear that. That's demonic. This is demonic activity. All right. So the entity is also keeping the fake sun over this venue where Union Pacific is the guise under which ongoing amplified activity is created. All right, so it's though a train is on the track. There is no physical train on the track, where the entity is just sounding an additional train, one train after another. And it's at 7:42 a.m. You're looking at what is impossible light activity that's appearing underneath the structure of the museum. 7:42 a.m. is where I'm already at the venue of the Ovid Family Community Library, if you recall yesterday, after having already gone to the B&G Plaza, showing you what is the fake sun that is moving in real time as I move. I'm showing you the fake sun while those demons are using a tree trimmer to create noise under the fake sun. The fake sun's over the B&G Plaza, the venue that is the building in front of Andy's Burgers. This is where the fake sun is. It's not over the museum. And I'm walking, and the fake sun is moving in real time. In that, under those circumstances, as the light source is engaged in real-time movement, it is not remaining stationary. As you clearly see, as I'm walking, the fake sun is moving. I have remained here. I'm still at the Ontario Museum of History and Arts, and that's exactly where the fake sun is at, over the same side that I am located at the Ontario Museum of History and Arts at 225 South Euclid Avenue in Ontario, California. And at the same time, even that, after the entity yesterday is engaging in moving that fake sun, as I moved from here, walking down Transit to the B&G Plaza, capturing the fake sun, line, going to Shiro's Liquor, going up Plum Avenue, and then going to the Ovid Family Community Library. The fake sun engaged in movement over me the entirety of that time. I'm capturing the fake sun. It's over the Ontario Town Square townhomes. This demon that's on a golf cart, the fake sun's over that apartment complex as I am on Plum Avenue, and I am facing what is the direction east. While I am walking on Plum Avenue, I'm walking in the direction north. The fake sun is at no time whatsoever remaining stationary or in a position where I'll be able to capture it as it is hovering over the Ontario Museum of History and Arts like it is right now. As I captured it at 7:42 a.m., you're looking at the impossible light activity, meaning you've got sunlight that's appearing underneath a structure, absolutely impossible, while the sun is hovering over the roof of the building of the museum, while I am capturing this immediately at 7:43 a.m. 7:43 a.m. and 0 seconds precisely. This is speaking to what is stalking with the fake sun. And as I've already shown, that's why I'm showing you on my website at 7:42 in the morning, the fake sun at the Page One Cafe Inn, where that demon was using a leaf blower yesterday to create audible activity and to engage in harassment. And I'm remaining at the same address, 215 East C Street, Ovid Family Community Library, and at 4:06 p.m., the fake sun remains at the same address over my head at what is the entrance of that same building of Ovid Family Community Library. You're talking about what is a 9-hour difference, where the light source is remaining, which is not possibly the sun. That's exactly why it's referred to as the fake sun. What happens under the fake sun and in engineered light? Amplified audible activity, which is entirely demonic. This is what the Ontario Police Department is engaged in. This is what Union Pacific is engaged in. All right, this is what the Ontario International Airport is engaged in, and it is entirely satanic. All right, the manufacturing of noise is otherwise how you would refer to it, but this is not just ordinary. They're not like playing it on a speaker, keeping some hidden means of, the sound of planes around. No, this is satanic. This is audible activity that's occurring through the provision of the supernatural. And the supernatural is Satan itself. This is demonic. These are demons. That's how you're coming up with the ability to create this amplified audible activity. It's not amplified with regard to having some speaker in it and they're magnifying the sound through that sort of purpose. No. It's demonic. And that is occurring in what is an environment where the sun and this directed light, this engineered light, showing you what is an ongoing comparison of what happened 24 hours ago. Well, 24 hours ago, I did not remain at the museum. The people of the state followed me from place to place, and the fake sun followed me from place to place. And the entity kept that fake sun today at 7:42 a.m. It's remaining right here, cozy over this precise corner where I'm located, because that's also where you see impossible light activity on the side where I'm located, where the demons are stalking. Okay, that's the ongoing indication. But the entity is, I captured this in still images, and where the fake sun is over the side of the museum that I'm currently remaining at, as opposed to having gone to the B&G Plaza, having gone through the entire route where I'm walking and capturing this fake sun. The entity is keeping this fake sun at 7:42 a.m. as I arrive at the Ovid Family Community Library yesterday morning. That is not over the museum. It's not occurring. The museum is south of the venue that is the library. The fake sun is moving in the direction north as I walk in that direction north. But again, I don't walk just straight north. I'm on Euclid Avenue at the museum. I walk I walk east on Transit. All right. I walk north, crossing Holt Boulevard and continuously walking north on Plum Avenue, arriving at the Ovid Family Community Library. The fake sun is turning and migrating as I move, and so is the Ontario International Airport with airplanes following, migrating as I migrate. And all of an environment is doing the same. The environment remains stationary where I remain stationary. Okay, that's why I'm capturing at 7:42 and 7:43 a.m. the impossible occurrence of what is the light source that's remaining over this venue. But it's also impossible because, as I also reminded you yesterday, the same address where the sun is present, this is supposedly the sun, and it still remains here after 1 o'clock in the afternoon, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, 5:45 p.m. It remains at the same address. This is also what I documented at the Ontario Ovid Family Community Library, 7:42 a.m., 4:05, 4:06 p.m., the fake sun remains at that same address, which I've documented on more than one occasion. The entity is keeping the fake sun there at 5:45 p.m., where that same police department is stalking by helicopter. The entity is keeping that fake sun at that same address at 6:40 p.m. This is well after 6 p.m. The entity is stalking with helicopters. The entity is stalking by the Ontario Police Department, the people of the state in that environment. And that is absolutely impossible. That is the maintenance of the light source, which is not possibly the sun, at a single address, which is also relevant to you wherever you are, because there is no such thing as global warming based on that evidence. There is no globe being warmed where the sun is remaining at an address all day long. It is also speaking to what is not possibly the sun over anywhere else. It's not over anybody in Los Angeles, in San Francisco, let alone in Texas, Florida, or in New York, or in any other state while it's remaining over one address. And that's speaking to what's going to be, again, law enforcement agencies such as the Ontario Police Department that are going to cease to exist. The obsessed stalker that is the Ontario International Airport. These are demons operating an illegitimate business, serving for what is public corruption, threatening the lives of American citizens while engaged in what is the unthinkable, literally using airplanes, using an airport to follow somebody around. That is the grounds for what is the removal from existence of that airport. The Ontario International Airport, it's nothing but an establishment where criminal conduct is underway and facilitated, and you don't need to exist anymore when you're engaging in that. And that's that, as a matter of fact, is already established by the evidence. And that's why they're stalking in directed light. That's why they're stalking under what is the fake sun that's remaining at this address, not over the Ovid Family Community Library, where that's where the Ontario International Airport is flying over the 280 North Limit Apartments, while the fake sun is over the library. All right. This is why they're flying over the museum right now, and why the fake sun is remaining at the museum, because this is where I'm at. And it's an impossible environment, that which is irreconcilable, speaking to their demon possession while they are obsessively stalking. All of that is relevant to what I just captured in still images, and what the airport, what the train, what the people of the state, in other words, and what the Ontario Police Department is engaging in. 7:43 a.m. is where the entity is keeping this fake sun. The entity is sounding plane activity and flying over the museum, engaged in obsessive stalking, showing what is instability of their mind state. A stalker that knows that they are caught, all right, because group stalking is no longer a secret, and you are continuously engaging in that stalking. Understand that this is not anonymous criminal activity. People who are using airplanes and stalking somebody, you're going to face it in a court, not only civilly, but criminally, and you're going to find yourself in a mental institution, all right? You're not hiding behind Southwest Airlines logo. We're going to pierce behind that veil. Okay, in the same way that the people of the state are a veil that the government is hiding behind group stalking, you're not hiding behind any veil, and you're going to find yourself in federal prison and or mental institutions showing this level of instability, stalking. All right, stalking with planes, stalking as a demon in a demonic environment, stalking obsessively when you have been caught in every regard you've been caught. Caught to be a psychopath, caught to be a stalker. All right, it is 7:53 a.m. where the entity is again, and that's why Union Pacific and the Ontario International Airport are to be civilly prosecuted. This is terrorism that they're engaging in, that they're facilitating in a very specific environment, and doing so on an ongoing basis. Whether the entity, as the entity does, there's no train on the tracks, and the train that is at a distance is not going to sound as though it's right here in my face. That's amplification, that's demonic. Satan engaging in what is using commercial means of amplified audible activity, right? You see a train on the tracks, but that's not the audible activity of a train. You see helicopters at a distance, but the audible activity of those helicopters, as I started capturing that video, that's why I started capturing that video, because it's impossible that I would hear any helicopter activity. That's impossible, let alone what the entity is doing in that environment. It's speaking to what is indeed terrorism, stalking conduct. Stalking conduct, cooperative stalking conduct, which is what is group stalking anyway. And so where the entity is using commercial means, you're using a train to create amplified audible, you're going to prosecute that company. The entity is using planes, which again, then these demons are seeking to avoid being captured. The Ontario International Airport amplifying plane activity and then making a U-turn, which I've shown time, and that's exactly what they did over B&G Plaza. When I'm walking out yesterday, I documented that, and they know that they're being documented. That's a psychopath. You're already a psychopath. You're stalking in the demonic environment. You're a demon. You're a psychopath. You are group stalking somebody, period. You're a demon. You're a psychopath. And then you're engaging in ongoing obsessive stalking, and you want to continuously engage in that because you're still doing it, a psychopath. And then you try to avoid just being documented while you're doing it, a psychopath. And you're doing it, you're using you're gassing up a plane. You're using the means of a whole airport. Like, you're using those sort of resources to follow somebody around. You're a psychopath. All right. And you're talking about what's a penalty that the entire airport needs to, that whole establishment is corrupt. You have demons that are operating an airport. The federal government needs to shut that down. All right, that's why I'm documenting it. Anyway, that's what the entity has been engaged in, and that's the exact example that I wanted to capture. Union Pacific and the Ontario International Airport engaging in ongoing terrorism and harassment, practicing satanic conduct, engaging in terrorism, which has also this witchcraft, this darkness, which has no authority over me whatsoever. But I'm going to make sure I demonstrate or document it, because it's criminal. It's serving criminal monitoring, and it's serving for what is a prosecution as the terrorists that they are. And again, this is documentation of what is terrorism, where the entity is being documented engaging in terrorism. Any law enforcement agency engaging in terrorism is rendered illegitimate. That's a matter of fact. And you're going to be shut down, disbanded. Any sort of company documented as engaging in terrorism, you are going to be shut down. There is no company, no amount of money, no exercise of influence that exists where you're going to continue to exist having been documented engaging in terrorism. That's what the airport is engaging in. That's what these companies, these train lines are engaging in. And they're going to be shut down. They're going to be civilly and criminally prosecuted, which is a matter of justice, and they will cease from existence, no longer capable of engaging in this in the state of California, which is entirely corrupt. And again, as I stated before, this is a necessary response by the federal government to the corruption, the public corruption that is that has literally plagued the state of California. This is necessarily how you're addressing it, and it's a message that is necessarily communicated to the state, to the people of the state, and to the rest of the country. You're communicating that message, that terrorism and this sort of criminal conduct is not to be tolerated. All right? It is currently, again, Wednesday, July 27, 2022. This is evidence, again, as I'm going from what is one aspect of the entity to the other. The entity that is the Ontario International Airport, that's not the only airport I've documented engaging in state terrorism. Remember Cables, I believe it's in Upland, California, that airport, that small little airport. They were documented engaging in this system as well, using planes, especially when I'm in Upland, California. This is the entity, those entities engaging in terrorism, they're going to be shut down. Okay, this is P.O.C. I want you to listen to it, because this airport, they're going to cease to exist. That's the Ontario International Airport. Engaging in terrorism. You don't have any hope of survival after prosecution, nor will you legitimately exist any longer after having been prosecuted for terrorism, which is group stalking. You are engaged in federal group stalking and monitoring. You are engaged in terrorism. The entity's hallmark for the pattern of conduct is using planes and helicopters. The Ontario International Airport is facilitating that, has been engaged in it for years, doing so with impunity. All right, clearly engaged in what is stalking. All right, and the result shall be the shutting down of that international airport. It's entirely illegitimate. All right. And I want you to listen to that audible activity. They're using plane after plane and following me around, and they're following me around. I'm going to be the one that's going to shut that airport down. It's entirely illegitimate. Alrighty. Okay. It is currently 7:58 a.m. P.O.C. License 8EYH495, 8PTN608, 5YEF458. These are the demons that are monitoring while the entity is using the audible activity of a train that's not even physically on the tracks, 6MH8676. And that volume is competing with my ability to talk on a phone when I'm not on the property of the museum anymore. That's called amplification. It's demonic. 8RRH056. These are the demons that are engaging in this pattern of conduct while the entity is sounding plane and train, audible activity under the fake sun. All right, that's the P.O.C. It's demonic. 8BY8920. It's surrounding me with audible activity. It's activity creation in that environment day and night. 8CMN243. And that is, again, impunity with regard to the draining of the pockets of such actors, because that demonic activity creation is fully cooperated with the demon that's operating that train. All right, they're not just idly engaging in what is the creation of train activity when there is no train on the tracks. Union Pacific is engaging in demonic behavior. They are using the Amtrak train tracks, pacing back and forth, while they are fully aware of the fact that the audible activity is used as a means of monitoring someone. That's why they're doing it in the specific environment. And Union Pacific, with regard to impunity, like I said, impunity is a direct aspect of the analysis when you are assessing where and how long you're going to sit with regard to punishment. All right, you're talking about mental institutions, federal prison, and how long are you going there, and what part of impunity does this play with regard to your criminal system, which you knew was being documented. 8 UHB 843. All right, that's impossible audible activity by Union Pacific. This is what the entity was doing all day long, and that volume while I'm not even on the property. All right, 8H26325. These demons are the same ones that were monitoring, sitting in their cars, okay, waiting for me to cross the street while Southwest Airlines flies over, while the fake sun is flying. Well, it is moving over me while I'm moving. Let me get this demon. Hold on. 8KXU144 and 1497662. That's Caltrans, a state actor. Okay, 8MVA659. 7NHM930. Okay, while I'm showing you a fake sun that remains over the museum, okay, while I'm showing you impossible light that's targeted on the side of the museum where I lay, where I'm situated, all of these demons that are driving Caltrans vehicles, that are in these venues in relevant position, the 150 East Toll Boulevard, San Bernardino Public Health Clinics, these demons that are in their vehicles driving to and from, they're monitoring. They are monitoring. This is surveillance that they're engaged in. That's why the environment is there. That's why I'm showing you, juxtapose the placement of the fake sun at 7:42 yesterday. Well, today at 7:42, the fake sun remains where I'm at the Ontario Museum of History and Arts. Where I go is where this environment goes because surveillance remains underway. Caltrans is a state actor that's nothing but a demon driving that vehicle, identifying a state actor engaged in the P.O.C. This is not surprising, though. BN46Y72. It should not be surprising. That's paper. 98WG411. That should not be surprising because I have shown you what is the pattern of conduct that belongs to the state of California. And you're also showing how it does not change commercially. Indeed, the Ontario International Airport is showing an ongoing example of the links to which the state is engaging in terrorism and state surveillance. Stalking by airplanes, showing you clearly have nothing else to do. Nothing else to do. You are consumed with the one whom you are stalking. I mean, you're using airplanes to do that. Well, since that's what you want to do with an airport and airplanes, you're going to snatch that away. All right, from the state. The Ontario International Airport no longer needs to exist serving that system of terrorism. All right, terrorism is literally the act which substantiates the ability for the shutdown of whatever that entity is acting through, because you're not operating a legitimate business. You're engaging in state surveillance and terrorism to facilitate a venue. All right, and I am walking on transit now, and the moment that I point out what is the fake sun that remains, however, you could see it blaring, okay, just shining brightly over the roof of the museum. The moment that I point this out, now it's a cloudy day, okay? It has nothing to do with what's the natural weather. Satan is literally witnessing my exposing and showing you what common sense conflicts, showing you that which is impossible. Brian's Automotive is group stalking. License 8DMZ219. This is a demon that's maintaining light activity, group stalking with Caltrans, who's loitering at the B&G Plaza. 2858483. Everybody is already shown as what is the way this analysis works, because yesterday the sun was engaged in real-time movement all around me, where I was already at all these addresses, and then I'm at the Ovid Family Community Library right now. All right, the entity is covering up its fake sun, which remains over me, covering it up as I point out and thoroughly expound upon what I showed you yesterday. The sun's not staying at the museum yesterday. The sun's over the library already at 7:42 a.m. The fake sun remains over me. Satan is just covering it up with clouds. It remains equally fake, by the way, period. It's not the natural environment. And Caltrans is engaging in surveillance at the B&G Plaza. 88RD773. 8URR533. And Caltrans knows that they were documented. And I hope Caltrans also understands that there is nothing that you're doing in a facilitating venue that's anything other than criminal presence and state surveillance, and you are telling the world about your condition and your criminal system. All right, that you're aware of it and you're participating in it. That's what your presence at a facilitating venue shows. 1497662 is indeed Caltrans. Let me go ahead and get a picture because I want you to see the logo, the utility truck, the state of California employing those who are demons engaging in state surveillance and terrorism. Again, not the first time I've documented Caltrans before under the fake sun in front of the Ovid Family Community Library. 7YJF526, I've also documented them crossing path where the entity was keeping the fake sun over me at Economy Inn and then walking on Euclid Avenue toward this part of Ontario where the entity was not rising any sun over the museum or over 325 West G Street. The entity was rising the sun over the pool at Economy Inn and keeping it there all day long over my room and setting it in alignment with Economy Inn at 2301 South Euclid Avenue, which is already documented. Caltrans is engaged in documented group stalking during that time frame as well. I've documented Caltrans on more than one occasion. 9ABT473. Also engaging in light activity creation under the fake sun as I would walk from Ontario to Upland at that the 10 freeway entrance area. Caltrans is documented present, engaging in what is under the fake sun is light activity creation. Demons that are doing nothing other than wearing hard hats and facilitating massive monitoring and group stalking while they use utility vehicles and engage in light activity. And the outward activity that you're supposed to be distracted by is that they're doing some work on the bridge. Those are demons under the fake sun and indirected light, creating light activity, which is entirely demonic, which I've documented Caltrans engaging in as well. 8XDT281, 5VWP125, 8VDG925, and this is why the Ontario International Airport is following me as I walk through the B&G Plaza. 620250L2, 8DZB999, BR4LF. All right, 9BCW028, 7ZDZ684. Eight EZT189, 8LXR937, 6EQJ965, 9AWC221, 8SNU189. Clinic in Medica, California, group stalking in relevant position, 8MAF571, 7VOS809, 9ALP257, 8VCB529. 86ROOFR, 7T55693, 7EWM280. They are all under a fake sun that is nowhere positioned beside the Ovid Family Community Library, even though that's not even the sun, just showing you what is the ongoing maintenance of a fake sun over me, where I go, where Clinic in Medica, California is group stalking in relevant position. And so is everybody else. 6NPW544, Deluxe Logistics, that's a trucking company. Omnitrans, you already know about them. License, while they're stalking with directed light. Remember yesterday I'm walking on Hope Boulevard after leaving Shiro's Liquor, and they're crossing paths with directed light, which I pointed out was to the passenger side of the bus because that's where I'm located. They're doing so under the fake sun. That's why you're going to civilly and criminally prosecute businesses that are illegitimate. They will no longer exist. License plate, bus 2360, license 1545837. It's 8:15 a.m. 7ZTX288, 90350H2, 7CQX380, 8MCV385. These are third parties monitoring while the 8KZF655, the fake sun, is over me on Hope Boulevard. And the airport is stalking at the B&G Plaza, 5BVC011. It's 8:20 a.m. 5VVP461. Showing you the impossible. The fake sun's directly over me as I'm walking west on Holt. 7TBF462 is a demon who was group stalking and doing so with the state. That's unlawful. And it is identified through what is that demonic environment that they are present in. present in that demonic environment with knowledge of exactly who you are. They're engaged in state surveillance. 5HOJ640, that's why that fake sun is over me. And by the way, not positioned, remaining for the duration of my time. That's why yesterday it's at 7:42, the fake sun remains on the side of the Ovid Family Community Library. And I'm capturing it as it remains at that address. It is not moving and jumping back to what is Holt Boulevard over the sidewalk, which is exactly where I'm capturing it right now at 8:20 a.m. The fake sun remains at Ovid Family Community Library, and that's because that's where I remain. And that's capturing, again, the direct evidence of a demon who is stalking. All right, a demon that's engaging in stalking is engaging in state surveillance as a third party, acting with the state. License 98HT622. Stalking with the state is called surveillance. Very serious federal crimes. 7XGX129, 8KOE758, 8T3975. Can't see the last character. 6LWV578. All right, and the entity's fake sun is over me on the path that I walked yesterday, where and I walked this path earlier than this time. I'm already at the library at 7:42 a.m. So that's what you're recalling. So the entity is repeating the same path, doing it at a later hour, based on what I do as I do it, called stalking. Stalking. And what's occurring in that environment? Stalking with planes and helicopters. License 8URR533, crossing path, demons that molest you with directed light. Okay, so let me take a picture of the fake sun over the same Ontario Town Square townhomes where I captured the demon driving a golf cart yesterday. Much earlier time, all right? 7:42 a.m. I remain at the museum, whereas at 7:42 yesterday, I'm at the library. Now at what is 8:22 a.m., I have left the museum, gone to B&G Plaza. The fake sun is remaining over me as I'm taking the same path, whereas right now it's over Ontario Town Square in alignment with me over my head. And yesterday, it's not over the Ontario Town Square. I've already passed this venue. It's over the side of the Ovid Family Community Library where it remains. Yesterday at 8:20, it remained on the side of the library where the Ontario International Airport is flying south of my person over the 280 North Lemon Apartments repeatedly. You're looking at the state of California that's utilizing U-Haul. That's a commercial vehicle. It's not anonymous. You'll prosecute U-Haul, the company itself. You'll prosecute the third party that is utilizing a U-Haul truck to stalk in the path with light activity. You'll prosecute what are the people of the state at Ontario Town Square townhomes, the people of the state that are group stalking outside of this property under the fake sun. Just speaking to what are the multiple ways you are prosecuting an entity that is group stalking using a U-Haul vehicle. JMR419. The entity engages in this sort of conduct in order to conceal, first of all, their license plates. I've observed this. 5KJ8884. It's not, U-Haul itself will be prosecuted. U-Haul, first of all, represents the people of the state. And the people of the state are using your vehicles, using your property, which you're not ignorant of. It's a facilitating venue. It's a third party. But they're using your renting your trucks, and it's documented engaged in the P.O.C. U-Haul will be prosecuted. In other words, you're not avoiding any sort of prosecution whatsoever. 5KJ8884. But like I stated, 6ZLM984 is group stalking while this third party with his U-Haul vehicle is stalking with light in the path. They're group stalking together. So like I said, that this is the ability to document those who are targeting you as a gang. Oh, well, that gang is acting as one. So nobody's avoiding anything. One gang gang member tries to speed off. Well, guess what? Their criminal counterpart that's right behind them will sit in federal prison for whatever it is that they've engaged in. That's how you're prosecuting a conspiracy, a criminal conspiracy. That's the downfall of engaging in what is gang stalking with the state. 7KQL792. Group stalking, that's the pitfall of that. U-Haul is present as a means of light activity, indirected light. 6ZLM984. 4NHC969. All right, my shadow's appearing on both sides where this demon's keeping their foot on the brakes. AL67182. That's a U-Haul truck that's parked in front of apartment number 160 of Ontario Town Square, where the fake sun is over Ontario Town Square townhomes, which is absolutely impossible. Light activity that the sun would be there. And this is an African-American male engaged in surveillance. We don't have no front license plate? Okay, well, we need to get this. Okay, that is an African-American male seated inside. I'm showing you directed light that's appearing in the shade in the street where he's stalking. That's a demon that's stalking, a black-faced minion engaging in the pattern of conduct. Doesn't matter what these demons' races are. And we're not separated by race. Is what you need to learn about the spiritual beings that are humans, all right? This is actually demonic conduct, and the evidence of his demon possession and his criminal conduct on behalf of the state and with the police is the directed light that's in the shade beside that vehicle where you can see my shadow, the fake sun that's above the Ontario Town Square and nowhere near the side of the Open Family Community Library. Let alone, it's 8:26 a.m. My documentation, as I've also shown, while I'm en route to Montclair, California, Pomona, California, Fontana, California, 8:26 a.m. specifically. Don't forget all this documentation that's already published. 8:26 a.m. I'm on Sierra Avenue, and the entity is engaging what is creating a demonic light show on the roof of the bus on Omnitrans, directed light while demons are sitting on the bus as though they're oblivious to what's going on. Those are demons, all right? In group stalking on Omnitrans, 8:26 a.m. That's the time that it is right now. But nonetheless, I'm capturing the impossible environment where this demon is engaging in surveillance using U-Haul. That's documentation of U-Haul. That's documentation of the people of the state using U-Haul. The people of the state at Ontario Town Square Townhomes. Who else is monitoring? The Ontario City Hall, the Ontario Senior Center, the Ontario Fire Department, the City of Ontario, the Engineering Department, where I showed you the fake sun, by the way, over those venues. And at no point ever is the sun over those buildings again, because I have not since walked back to Cherry Avenue and B Street. The entity's venue of what is Metro 102 Apartments, obviously, they're monitoring. All right, the entity is monitoring in relevant position the Ontario Town Square Townhomes, the Ontario Town Square, and these are minions that are pacing all around. License, directed light, 7BIW 349. Directed light while they cross path. License plate, 8VPB018, 7SYR006. Alrighty, I'm showing you the fake sun that's over me again. Nowhere near the Ovid Family Community Library, over Page 1 Cafe, creating any light activity that's going to peer over the walkway, over underneath the structure of that library where I'm capturing this demon that works at Page 1 Cafe using a leaf blower yesterday morning. Remember that? That's not light activity that's going to occur, by the way, obviously, where it's remaining over the vehicle that I was formerly sleeping in at 320 outside of 325 West G Street and 630 North Fern. Even so, it's also not occurring while the entity's keeping it stationary over the south side of the museum where I'm laying at 7:42 in the morning. But as I take the same path and I walk down the street to the same destination, the fake sun is in perfect alignment with me, where demons are stalking with directed light, including the City of Ontario, 1469611. All right, waiting until I walk in the parking lot to pull out, which is stalking with light. The fake sun's in alignment, so let me get this minion again. Alrighty, and this is the entity that's monitoring with the demons that are in the parking lot as well. And molesting with directed light. That's City of Ontario. That is, again, she's stopping in the parking lot. She's loitering in relevant position. I'm not blocking her path. She's group stalking. Make sure I get this demon. Hi. Yes, it is morning. She's monitoring with a communication device while she's also molesting me with directed light and then smiling and saying, hi, good morning. The fake sun is over her car. The fake sun is over the parking lot of Ontario City Hall. And the City of Ontario is crossing past this vehicle with that license plate, the gray vehicle. This demon waits until I walk up. This is stalking with activity creation and molestation with directed light. So I want to be clear. This is a sex offender that's smiling and waving, a demon-possessed one, also monitoring with the state, 9AMU364. That is nothing other than what is a very demented and creepy group stalker. Okay, there's nothing friendly about being molested. There's nothing that is in any way neutralizing the threat that you're posing. It is also that which is serving to harass the targeted individual who is subject to that violation, and then you've got a psychopath in your face as though it's not happening, smiling even in your face. Under the fake sun, indirect light molesting you. Hi, how's it going? That's Satan. That's a psychopath. 6STS697, 8VPD021, 7KTW830, 8JFD166, 7HDH892. And the demon that is molesting with the City of Ontario. She's sitting in her vehicle. The other demon that is operating the Ontario Police Department's vehicle. Excuse me, wrong actor. 43125H2 YMCA. Let me get a picture because this is impunity. You have the same actors that I documented under the fake sun while they're harassing the City of Ontario, which is what I was getting to. This demon is operating the City of Ontario vehicle, the gray little PT Cruiser type vehicle. These are the minions that were harassing in the parking lot while you're stalking in the parking lot and loitering in relevant position where I am in no way a blockage to your path. You're stalking in the path. But let me be clear. Even if let's say I was standing right in front of her vehicle, blocking your ability to pass, you are group stalking and I'm documenting you, period. Well, I want to be clear. You're stalking in the parking lot and you're maintaining presence, remaining stationary while the Ontario airport is flying over the apartments, which I captured in images, while I'm being molested with directed light, which surrounds the property where you're working, where you are group stalking in that parking lot, an operation of your communication device. And that same demon is the one that's waiting until I walk in the parking lot to molest with directed light. And then this other demon that's monitoring as well is smiling and saying, hi, good morning. All right, this is a demonic activity, and that's documenting what is impunity. Psychopaths, like I stated, they're going to federal prison, engaging in criminal defamation, sexually violating you, and then engaging in criminal defamation and harassing you. Yes, those unstable psychopaths are going to federal prison. Criminal defamation is a no-no. That's the state that's defaming you. The state that's stalking you, defaming you. You see this direct evidence of their demon possession. They're stalking you. Their whole system, the whole setup of their system is revealed. It's exposed. And then you're understanding what the things that they say to you while they're monitoring and group stalking you. And they're a bunch of hostile demons. Psychopaths who engage in what is criminal conduct as they exercise speech. They're speaking as the state. They're acting as the state. And you're going to prosecute accordingly. All right. And so they engaged in criminal defamation. I just want to be clear. This is what I documented already. And this documentation of what is not the sun that's over the side of the Ovid Family Community Library directly incriminates those demons as well. That's why they're also outside showing their hostility as the inferior minions that they are. They know what I'm documenting. Not only did I document them that day, which is already showing what was not the sun on that day. Okay, but as I'm showing you what's the fake sun at 7:42 in the morning yesterday and what's not the sun at 7:42 in the morning while it's nowhere near this destination and it's over me at the museum, they know exactly what it means for them as I documented their faces under the fake sun with the airport flying over while they are molesting with directed light and harassing and defaming. They know exactly what it means. All right, so this is the significance of that, and that's why you have many times these demons that engage in, to their own demise. You're going to use that. That's called impunity. All right. So you're going to be prosecuted. It's just revealing, yes, you are a psychopath because you're engaging in this demonic system. Clearly, it shows your condition and shows your intent to terrorize somebody and doing so through a secret government system, which you fully did not anticipate would ever be exposed. All right. And it's showing also your intent to continue engaging in it when it is exposed. All right. Satan is in denial. Are you in denial? I would say you're in denial while you're witnessing me prosecute you. I'm referencing right now these minions that engage in such conduct like this demon did right now. You're going to use that. That's material to prosecute with. Okay? Just like any other stalker, you're analyzing the threat. You're analyzing the one that's posing the threat. You're analyzing the past conduct. You're analyzing the ongoing communication of a threat, both impliedly and expressly. I'm going to use that against you. All right. Group stalkers are going to sit in federal prison and in mental institutions. You're going to shut down their businesses. They will cease from existence. This is how you are getting into what is a community that's gang stalking and terrorizing. All right. This is how you're penetrating the state that's engaging in this issue of public corruption. And when you are doing so, you are addressing the entity in all the ways in which it is engaging in that P.O.C. All right. And this is the Ontario International Airport that is literally counting down the days. The Ontario International Airport is engaged in terrorism. That's why they're now flying over the senior citizen apartments, following me from the museum. This is P.O.C. Alrighty, so it's 8:35 a.m. and I just want to be clear that that's the same City of Ontario, but it's the same specific actor engaging in what is stalking in the parking lot. She was loitering in relevant position, monitoring with the entity that flew over by plane with the fake sun over my head, and in the parking lot of the Ontario City Hall, who was also monitoring with those demons. But I want to be clear, the entity is monitoring through this minion. This is the same specific actor engaging and repeating the same exact conduct that is directly relevant to your prosecution. Okay, these are the things that you're analyzing with any anyone that's being prosecuted for stalking. All right, under the ordinary stalking statute of the state, any stalker, you would be heavily considering the fact that they are a repeat offender. They continuously do the same thing. They are showing an absolute disregard for the right of the one who is documenting and seeking to prosecute the fact that they are engaged in stalking. The entity, and this is exactly what a judge would consider. You are continuously engaging in what is this very disturbing conduct, stalking, and you're repeatedly doing so. And with knowledge of the fact that you are being documented, engaging in this stalking conduct, that is directly pointing to the unstable mind state. And any other ordinary prosecution for a stalker engaging in repeat offenses, even with knowledge of the fact that you're being documented, that's directly relevant to the ways in which you're assessing that state of mind, that mental state, which is, I'll just give you a synopsis right now, a summary to be very succinct. You're a psychopath. You're crazy, and not an insanity crazy. They seek to engage in what is harassing you and seek to avoid being prosecuted. That's somebody that's conscious, that knows what they're doing. That's a psychopath. All right, that's the entity engaging, acting with malice, acting with deliberation, acting with specific knowledge. That's what this public corruption by a government, that's exactly what this system is about. All right, and that stalker is the state. That stalker is the state that's utilizing the city of Ontario. Repeat offenders engaging in what is not only sexual violence. You want to touch, you want to stalk, and they're doing so again with the Ontario International Airport, who you hear flying over the senior citizen apartments, not flying over the museum anymore. You know why? Because I'm not over there by the museum. And that the reason why they're flying over the museum at 742, where the fake sun's not over the library, all right, you're finding what's an unnatural environment, because that's where I'm at, and they're stalking. All right, they're engaged in terrorism, and you're going to shut down establishments like the Ontario International Airport engaging in terrorism. Okay, it is the grounds upon which many companies are going to meet their conclusion, their end. All right, and that's just the way in which you're addressing public corruption in any state. But this is how you're addressing it in California. It's 8:37 a.m. and this is P.O.C. 5SEU 716. This is a third party that is stalking in the restroom inside of the facilitating venue of Ovid Family Community Library. They are represented by the people of the state who enter in with minor children. This is activity creation. This is significance of that. They're in directed light. They are at the facilitating venue of the Ovid Family Community Library, where nothing is other than group stalking is underway, which is fully documented. All right, so that this entity is group stalking at this venue is established as fact. The entity is engaging in what is that group stalking, that criminal activity inside of a private space, and 5SEU 716 is documented engaging in that pattern of conduct because it's the people of the state and they're a sex offender monitoring while my panties are down and doing so in concert with children and pacing in and around that restroom. And also you have the people of the state that are inside of the venue. They're all part of what is that massive invasion of privacy, acting as one. Of course, the Ontario International Airport, an entirely illegitimate business or establishment, whatever you want to consider the airport, they're group stalking. All right, that's not an ordinary airport. They're engaged in terrorism, and they are monitoring while the people of the state enter inside of the bathroom, acting in concert with them, pacing around me, and doing so while I'm physically indisposed, engaged in a private activity. In other words, and in the ways in which I like to vividly describe it to you, so you understand the predator, the violent sex offender that are the people of the state, while my panties are down. The Ontario International Airport is group stalking in the bathroom as the people of the state enter inside of that private space. Okay, and that's relevant to the obsessive stalking that the Ontario International Airport is engaging in. They are a part of it while the entity is inside of the bathroom. All right, it is currently 10:08 a.m. This is P.O.C. at the Ovid Family Community Library. A documentation of federal stalking by entity in the private space. All right, I just want to show you what is the stalking behavior patterns. Stalking, S-T-A-L-K-I-N-G. This is a third party that's inside of the venue engaging in surveillance. They're all in directed light, the fake sun, the whole bit. This is the pattern of conduct. And this demon that's monitoring what I'm doing on the internet, online, and specifically, again, you're going to want to look at my website because this is where I include the images where you can see the pictures of this demonic environment. I'm literally capturing what is the factual information. It's a fact because I'm standing there and I'm capturing videos and pictures of it, and you cannot deny it. So this is a fact that, for example, NASA how do you reconcile with what the information we've been told about the environment that NASA puts out, that there's supposedly one sun with regard to planet Earth, and you're talking about theories such as global warming, and with regard to the intensification of the seasons because of what's going on with the sun and the natural environment. Understand, not only am I showing you what is a fake sun, what also logically follows are the lies that have been parroted to you about the environment. All right. And so what I'm capturing again this morning at 7:42 a.m., where's the fake sun? It is not on the side of the Ovid Family Community Library like it was at 7:42 a.m. while I was at the side of the Ovid Family Community Library. This morning, I'm at the museum, and you see it over in alignment with me at the side of the museum that I was on at the museum at two distinct addresses. Both of those addresses as well, I have documented the maintenance of a fake sun for the duration of the day, meaning the sun early in the morning, the sun in the evening. Okay, a plain 12 hours later at the same address, which is also speaking to impossibilities with regard to the environment. And this is captured, you can only see this on my website. It's not, obviously YouTube can't include I could as a thumbnail, but I don't want it. YouTube has only my video documentation. So the entity is documented on my website, and I'm including these images, and as I'm publishing this, I'm going to my Google Drive. In other words, I'm on the internet, I'm publishing documentation, and this demon steps behind me and engages in what is a operation of the communication devices, which you're focusing on. They're standing in direct light, and they're doing so, and they take this position based on what I'm doing on the internet at the time that they do it, and the fact that they're all monitoring. They are literally standing and present in the evidence. It's a facilitating venue. This entity is engaging in what is harassment while this demon stands behind me, and then I'm going to document it. And then this is what you're looking at. I'm just defining for you what you're going to see in the images. Then he's placing his back to me while he is literally determined to maintain that presence. Understand that stalking. While you're standing in that's called alignment. This is a demon that is determined to maintain alignment in directed light on behalf of the police. They are group stalking, knowing they're being documented. All of this is the analysis that's underway while a third party is engaging in the P.O.C. criminal monitoring inside of the venue. And so this is reflected in those images that I'm capturing, and you're showing what is an ongoing determination to continue maintaining this stance while you're monitoring with communication device, and you know that you're being documented. This is the grounds of what is, again, federal prison. This is a psychopath. This is a demon, and this is one who is also aware of what I'm documenting on the internet. I also want to speak to what is the minions. This is not a natural born citizen. This is another one. You're talking about what is a default policy, and this is deportation. This is inherent to what's going to be federal group stalking and monitoring and the way you're prosecuting it. The demon possessed that are in this country, that are placing American citizens, harassing and terrorizing American citizens, and they've been granted stay in this country. That is absurd, and they will be deported out of this country, and they will not be returning. Okay, you are absolutely unwelcome. So let me speak right now as this system is being exposed. Those who are not even natural born citizens, you will not remain. Period. And it is currently 11:06 a.m. and this is documented in still images where this third party is behind me and maintaining this presence behind me, talking loudly on their phone. They're doing so in directed light. It's operation of a communication device. It's audible activity, and it's while this demon knows what I'm doing online. It's absolutely annoying while demons engage in this ongoing obsessive stalking conduct. All right, in the same way it would be annoying, beyond annoying, while a police department is stalking you day and night in helicopters. Okay, on the one hand, it is entirely pathetic, like, wow, I'm that important. But on the other hand, it's like, wow, you're really crazy. You're a stalker in helicopters day and night. So anyway, it's currently 11:07 a.m. This is P.O.C. All right, capturing, again, these demons that are the Ontario Police Department. And hey, Allie, how's it going? She's group stalking. She's monitoring with the Ontario Police. She's walking into the door with her communication device as I'm walking out. And the Ontario Police Department, these are the demons that are stalking by helicopter, as I've captured every single night. As again, coming from Tabor Professional Field Building on G Street, the Ontario Police Department following from helicopter to the museum. And every night, as I remain at the museum, stalking every night, early in the morning, all night long, in other words, by helicopter. That same police department is present, aiming light into the Ovid Family Community Library, where Allie, she is a demon. She
is crossing path as I walk out, and I want to read these license plates. These demons are the of the Ontario Police Department are engaging in what is the exceedingly sexually violent and highly demented group stalking activity inside of the bathroom. And this particular demon whose image I captured, remember, they're acting cooperatively with these police. They are engaging in demonic activity together, and the Ontario Police Department engaging in what is stalking with audible activity with simultaneity to my panties being pulled down and engaging in that private activity inside of that private space. The people of the state are inside of that bathroom stalking with audible activity, which is the demonic behavioral pattern, while they are stalking with light. Why are you in my face, Satan? This is Guerrero. You're a violent sex offender. You like monitoring while my panties are down, and I'm going to prosecute you with that. All right? And you're monitoring right now while you're moving around in directed light, Satan. You like listening to me while my panties are down in the bathroom? That's why you're going to sit in federal prison. License plate 1627386. I'm talking about what you actually do, Satan. You're a violent sex offender. And what you're doing is not concealed. You're a violent sex offender, Guerrero. That's why you sit here like a clown and you're surrounded with evidence under what's not even a real sun. You reconcile that documentation, Satan. You're a violent sex offender. You're a criminal. You are not. You're Satan playing dressed up. You will never get any respect from me. You are a criminal and you're a fucking stalker. Get the hell out of my face. You get no respect from me. You just got through listening to me pull my panties down in the bathroom. Get the hell up out of here. Get the hell up out of here. Get out of here. You need help. I'm going to get you help too. You're going to be sitting in state patent. That's where you're going. After that corruption is remedied. License 1589378. This is Guerrero. That's under the fake sun on June 16, 2022. These are all these demons that were listed. You guys like, oh, Guerrero. This is another one. Sitting with multiple shadows. You like to sit around monitor while people's panties are down in the bathroom. The men stalking all night, all morning, everywhere I go in helicopter. As though you look like you're any official, you don't. You look like the stalkers that you are. License 1589378. And my shadows are perpendicular to each other where Guerrero's talking about he's police. These are minions. These are demons. I'll show you that light activity. While you're stalking at 12 and 1 and 2 o'clock in the morning with helicopters, Satan. You like listening to my panties go down in the bathroom? That's why you're going to federal prison. What is your name, Satan? What's your name? Officer Jenkins? What'd you say? Oh, Higgins, Jay Higgins. Yes. All right, that's P.O.C. I'm checking, they're on my shadow. There's 3 of them. They're perpendicular to each other where Guerrero is engaging in what is harassment while he's coming around, while he knows exactly what I'm documenting. This is the same minion that is monitoring while I am in the bathroom right now in directed light. 3 shadows around my person while Higgins and Guerrero are standing in relevant position. They are acting with this minion that's in the bathroom, and what she is doing is stalking with audible activity. So demons that know exactly what I'm doing inside of the bathroom stall, she waits. Okay, she exited the bathroom stall a long time ago. She's loitering in the bathroom in directed light. Okay, the Ontario Police Department are engaged in criminal summoning. They are outside of the bathroom in relevant positions surrounding the venue, which is directed light. This is the same police that's stalking 24 hours a day, where I've fully shown what are the demon-possessed group stalking with helicopters. I am their obsession, and being present with their lights on is nothing other than criminal summoning. These demons are standing around with multiple shadows. All right, and they just engage in an ongoing sex offense, which is their ongoing obsession, Erica Lorraine Spencer, which is a matter of objective evidence. That's P.O.C. Oh, that's Higgins and Guerrero, right? Sitting around in directed light with multiple shadows? Yep. All right, I'll see you later, Satan. All right, that's P.O.C. Those are violent sex offenders. They're engaged in monitoring with the Ovid Family Community Library. That's who Allie is crossing path with. That's federal prison. She's crossing path as I walk out. She's engaged in that crossing path conduct. The minions that are tracking my steps as I'm moving around. 8RCG236 in the same directed light, monitoring with the Ontario Police Department in operation of a communication device. Monitoring with Guerrero and Higgins, all right, and doing so in directed light. That's P.O.C. A violent sex offender engaged in criminal summoning with the Ontario Police Department, and doing so while I am, again, speaking to the entity that's stalking in the bathroom. And while I'm in the bathroom, this demon is engaging that demonic behavioral pattern of stalking with audible activity creation. And I mean every move that I'm making inside of the bathroom stall, using specifically the hand dryer, okay? And what's the significance of that? It's just, it's the demonic behavioral pattern in the same way that the entity was using the train, as you heard this morning, stalking with audible activity. Demons do this in the bathroom with whatever they have at their disposal, okay? This is P.O.C., the stalker that is the Ontario International Airport. Guerrero and Higgins, group stalking with the people.
Hey, this is my phone. This is my phone.
Hello. Capturing what are demons on the grounds of the Ontario Town Square, just monitoring with the police monitoring in plain sight, doing so at the Ontario Town Square, which is a facilitating venue where the Ontario International Airport is flying directly over the Ontario Town Square. Ontario Town Square is engaged in criminal summoning. All right, this is the same police department that's engaging in monitoring with the people of the state and doing so at what's the state facilitating venue. Alrighty, capturing some of these minions that are here on the grounds of the Ontario Town Square. This event is nothing other than what is ongoing criminal summoning, so I want to point that out. The significance, again, of what I'm stating, you have the people of the state, you have this demon that's engaging in what is stalking in the bathroom. The Ontario Police Department is present, creating light activity, which is criminal summoning. The pattern of conduct is underway, which is also why I captured my 3 shadows around my person while I am referencing what is Guerrero, and then I walk over toward another Guerrero. This is E. Guerrero and Higgins. And Guerrero is engaged in what is harassment. He's a stalker. This is the one that's engaging in kicking and throwing around my property under the fake sun on June 16, 2022, and engaging in what is a kidnapping and waging of false allegations. Allie is a group stalker. She's crossing path with her phone, tracking my steps, walking into the venue is her means of crossing path. She's engaged in criminal summoning, all right? So this is the significance, and that's what I was documenting. And this is, you're listening to me address what is Guerrero. This is a demon who is harassing me while he's listening to me document his sex offense that he just engaged in. All right, 014 K72. This is Nevada. These are the demons at the Ontario Town Square, 7WPM 796. And this demon is pacing beside his car. Remember, I have 3 shadows. He's walking back and forth, not because he's confused about what door he wants to go inside of. This is a demon pacing in directed light, and he's monitoring with the Ontario Police. 6 U.S.C 790, 8 PBA 118. Opening and closing their doors. This demon over here is stalking with audible activity. Monitoring with the Ontario Police, 9AHA087. This is criminal summoning that they're engaged in. 8JVL217. They're all violent sex offenders monitoring while my panties are down, and you have a third party stalking with audible activity. And they're calling it, what was this, family night? Is that what you guys called this?
Their summer concerts.
Huh?
Their summer concerts.
Oh, summer contest?
Concerts.
Oh, summer concerts. That's what they're calling the P.O.C. They're standing around in directed light. These are demons. All right, this is P.O.C. And they're engaged in criminal summoning with the Ontario Police Department. 8 PBA 118. And what was underway was a sex offense in the bathroom. They can call this event whatever they want. The same impossible environment is underway. I have 3 shadows around me right now. 1563089. 3 of my shadows. This is my shadow surrounding my person. 8BFZ148. FZ138 handicap. 90120A1. License 8UZU384. And I already read 8JVL217. Omnitrans, oh my goodness, this is the most thirsty company ever. They find any way to, they'll make a bus stop anywhere. They're over here creating light activity. This is so sad. Omnitrans is just arriving on the corner with the police, using their hazards in relevant position. 8CMW307. Omnitrans is engaged in the P.O.C. You already know this. When you've got directed light and a fake sun remaining over me, Omnitrans, what it's showing is that Omnitrans is acting with absolute impunity, going to desperate regards to always include themselves in the pattern of conduct. 8UGC072, that's what Omnitrans demonstrates. 6DWC601, 58000F2, 6THC474, and Ontario Police, again, 1515411. Let's see. Hey, Satan, say cheese.
Hi.
What is your name? You are Jay Holcomb. All right, Jay Holcomb is standing with police lights on. This is criminal summoning. He's a violent sex offender. He's engaging in what is the predatory conduct of these demons that are stalking ceaselessly with helicopters in an unnatural environment. Vehicle 1515411. This is also a demon that's engaging in a sex offense as my person is being molested with directed light. That's why I'm capturing my shadow that's perpendicular to each other, while this demon is standing over here with Omnitrans, license 1609885. That's Omnitrans now making audible activity. That's the use of a company to participate with the police engaging in surveillance and terrorism. And they're engaging in what is a sex offense. This is Holcomb that's monitoring while my panties are down, and another third party is in the bathroom, stalking with audible activity. Holcomb is a violent sex offender, monitoring with this pack of demons who come and sit and join them on the curb. P.O.C. Alrighty, I'm glad you're not shy. I'm glad you're not bashful. Demons acting together, demons prosecuted together. All right, they're in directed light, coming by to sit over here by Holcomb, keep them company in directed light. They're a centipede of demons, understand what that is. And they come over here. This is staff, right, for Ontario Town Square? It's entertaining, huh? Real funny, real funny. All right, this is P.O.C. These are members. Let me take a picture of there. That is an image of what is criminal summoning. The people of the state. 1563089 coming and sitting on the curb is nothing other than what is crossing in path. They're doing so in directed light. All right, and they're doing so with Jay Holcomb, who's monitoring. And you're looking at these images, you're looking at what is the group stalking system. All right, and you are always stalking, right? You'll be joining me at the museum later with one of your helicopters, right, Holcomb? All right, because you're not engaging in any lawful conduct, and that's a matter of objective evidence as well. I'll be seeing you soon, Satan. You will be going to federal prison. This is P.O.C. 6JDW421. 8UVY138. The Ontario Police Department has engaged in loitering in relevant position. Remember, criminal summoning is nothing other than surveillance. And you're demonstrating impunity. Omnitrans, specifically the Omni Access vehicle. I mean, this is acknowledging what is the desperation with which these are minions, okay? They're engaging the P.O.C. But it is, again, if you were giving someone legal counsel, that is, you are surrounded with what is evidence. This is the pattern of conduct, and it is already just a liability on its face to be even in the presence of. And remember, presence is criminal. This is group stalking. This is directed light. You're in the environment to be in the presence of the Ontario Police Department. Okay. And this is the Ontario Town Square. Those minions that are sitting around in directed light, they walk across the street to sit on the curb in directed light, communicating a threat. They're monitoring, and they sit there and join that demon, Jay Holcomb. Those are all demons as well, but they join their fellow demon wearing a police department, wearing the Ontario Police Department badge, using their vehicles to create light activity. They are engaging in what is impunity while they do so. Those are staff members for the Ontario Town Square, engaging in what is a summer concert, which is the pattern of conduct. That's what those demons are calling it. And they are engaging in that demonic behavioral pattern with the police. That's criminal summoning. 7TGP854, that's the significance of it. It's the same significance with Omnitrans, who comes and just sits on the curb. All right, Satan just wants to be involved and turn on their hazard lights, help in that criminal system. That's what Omnitrans is doing. That's exactly what they're doing. They're just coming to participate in the P.O.C. 8CIZ873. This is a minion engaged in criminal summoning, sitting in their vehicle engaged in criminal surveillance. 7CAW937. I want to be clear. Having your shadow surrounding your person is something that is directly relevant to whatever demons want to call their event. It is the pattern of conduct. This is also the same police department that is captured literally every hour of the day, stalking me with helicopters, engaging in what is kidnapping, waging false allegations, engaging in what is harassment, making up information in order to engage in what is harassing me. Okay, literally just making it up with these demons that are the people of the state. So upon exit, I also want to include this. You have Mickey. Mickey's the Asian female. You have Natasha. This is the Caucasian female, long brunette hair. Sharon, representing what is Securitas inside of the Ovid Family Community Library. And then you have demons that are congregated inside of the bathroom. This is the same venue where I'm showing you what's the fake sun that's remaining all day long over this address at 215 EC Street. This is indeed the demon possessed. This is, again, the criminal act of what is criminal summoning. Crossing path, stalking with the police, 8ANV057, criminal summoning. All right, they're doing so. And again, as I step out, I'm capturing what is the impossible light activity, my shadow that's surrounding my person. And the Ontario Police Department documents it, and the people of the state. But want to be clear, the Ontario Police Department are an obsessed stalker. The Ontario International Airport, you hear flying over the Ontario Town Square. I'm showing you what's impossible light that's outside. Okay, this is the P.O.C. So just want to be clear, this is always the case, but I even took more pictures so you can see there is no question that the Ontario Police Department are a stalker. You're always a stalker. They're always stalking. All right. The entity is in directed light. To be clear, that's exactly what I'm documenting. While those demons are fully aware of the fact that my panties are down in the bathroom, and another demon that's present on behalf of the whole entity is using a hand dryer as I pull my panties down, as private activity is underway inside of that private space, which that demon outside of the bathroom stall is fully aware of, engaging in what is, again, the intent to sexually offend, because they also know that they're being documented. They also know that what they are doing, which is of the demonic, is known by myself, and I'm documenting it. This is how Satan shows hostility. And you have all of these demons that are the Ontario Police Department monitoring to that. They're monitoring together. They're stalking in the bathroom, and they are as one engaging in invasion of privacy as an entity. And then I'm stepping outside, and you're listening to the voice of Guerrero, and I'm talking about Guerrero that is the one that's on video on June 16, 2022, and podcast. He's kidnapping, he's waging false allegations, exercising fictitious authority under the law, which is what criminal summoning is. They're not a legitimate police department. That's why I have a wealth of documentation of them engaging in ceaseless, obsessive stalking, showing their instability. And that's what I'm encountering. Forgive my language, okay? I am dealing with what is Satan. These are demons, all right? And they are literally unstable psychopaths who are posing a threat while they're saying anything to me. And you just got through perpetrating a sex offense. That's literally what he's doing. And then he's coming up and speaking to me. So understand the audacity behind that. All right. But so excuse my language, but this is literally dealing with what are the wicked. And that's what I'm encountering while he is having a conversation. And understand that conversation, he's monitoring. He is not friendly. That's why he engaged in kidnapping. That's why he made up allegations. That's why he was harassing with the people of the state, doing so under what is the fake sun. Ovid Family Community Library, fully shown as nothing other than a facilitating venue, acting with that police department, and engaged right now in monitoring a violent sex offense while they are overly concerned with everywhere that I'm going and also what's going on in my panties in the bathroom. A sex offender is what Guerrero is, all right? So forgive my language, but that's just the reality of dealing with what is a violent sex offender and a psychopath. He is literally a threat, whom I have zero respect for. I have zero respect for him, and he's going to sit, just like you heard me, they're going to sit in what are mental institutions, even by that audible activity that you hear. You hear Satan saying out loud, I'm a police officer. He wishes he was a police officer. He has been stripped of even the appearance of legitimacy as I've published his criminal conduct, hit that police department's criminal conduct on the World Wide Web. And their continuous engagement in criminal activity. Hold on. What's that? Paramount. Okay. I'm looking for the name of that truck, and it says Paramount on the side. They're engaged in surveillance in the parking lot. That's audible activity because I moved. They're engaging in surveillance in that parking lot. So I wanted to make sure that I can catch that name of that truck on the side. And you have them try to run away so I don't get their license plate. It was a white truck in the parking lot of Metro 102, and it says Paramount on the passenger side. License plate 7MBZ 767. And so this third party that's engaging in surveillance inside of that parking lot, stalking with light activity, they're engaging in criminal summoning with the Ontario Police Department. So that's what I wanted to try to get was the name of that company on the side of that truck. That's what I was trying to obtain. All right, I will get the rest of these license plates right now. But what I was stating, that's the significance, and that's the substance of that exchange with Guerrero, and then the other Guerrero and Higgins. They're all a bunch of demons. They are the demon possessed, and they have been exposed as such, and they're engaged in criminal conduct. And as I was stating before, this little demon over here in this truck tried to run off. Didn't try to run off. It did run off. He did run off. But this minion is engaging in these minions, the Ontario Police Department, are engaging in what is ongoing criminal activity. When I mean, you're talking about just the past few days. And I've been documenting the Ontario Police Department for years. They've engaged in multiple kidnappings, have kidnapped me on multiple occasions, okay? More than one time, more than 3 times, more than 4 times, okay? They have engaged in ongoing kidnapping while I've been documenting their criminal conduct. And the people of the state are engaged in kidnapping as well. All of that is the impunity of the whole entity, because you're documenting what is conduct on behalf of the state. They're acting together. They're a bunch of minions that are groups talking together. Ongoing acts of kidnapping is the entity's ongoing efforts to obstruct justice, and they call it a criminal case. Criminal cases that actually don't even exist on the books. They were perpetrating fake cases against me, or engaging in what is like the Upland Police Department, while they are stalking, exercising fictitious authority under the law, and they're engaging in what is waging false allegations when you are the criminal. But this is bearing the fruits of what is the criminal in the first instance, all right? The Upland Police Department, who was stalking by helicopters, and then you're bringing literally a made-up charge. And that's because, again, I documented that whole encounter in May of 2022. with the Upland Public Library, a facilitating venue, where at no time the sun is ever over that venue when it's remaining over 215 East C Street, the Ovid Family Community Library, by the way. And this Upland Police Department stalking by helicopter, as I've documented, engaging in what is group stalking, and then while I am asking them logical questions, Satan cannot respond to, which I have a right to ask, because you're engaged in an ongoing pattern of harassment while you are, again, making up false allegations. So I'm asking questions. Well, wait, you're saying I'm doing this, and how did I do that? All I'm doing is asking questions about what you accuse me of. They can't handle it. All of a sudden, I'm in the library, a public library, having every right to remain there, having engaged in none of the violations that they failed in trying to accuse me of, because I am able to ask you logical questions, and then you are trapping yourself because you can't get your life straight and you can't think fast enough. All right. So then they are engaging. Oh, we want you to leave. And this, if you don't leave, it's going to be a trespassing. All right. And that's literally what they engaged in after they engaged in criminal summoning of the police in the first place, based on a defamatory and false claim. This is a pattern by the entity. That doesn't turn into some trespass. It's not a trespass. They are actually in violation of the law, summoning the police, which is reasonably to result in arrest, especially when you are acting together, engaging in group stalking. They are actually the criminals. Okay, and that's why you have, again, Hurtado. This is all published on the internet. Hurtado putting in writing, making up a policy to exclude me from a public venue, a public library. After they made up information, called the police, all of them were scurrying along, couldn't come up with a narrative, couldn't answer my questions, which I have a right to ask. You're talking about I'm a sex offender? Oh, so where is the alleged victim? How come nobody, who did I sexually offend? They are ongoing engagement and waging false allegations. And pay attention, the sex offender is always making those allegations of what is the one that's documenting their sex offense. They're under the fake sun. Pay attention to the environment. They're under the fake sun. They're in directed light. The police that they're summoning, the stalker, is stalking me by helicopters. All right, engaging in an ongoing exercise of fictitious authority, and they engage in that pattern of waging false allegations. I'm giving you this as a reminder of what is the illegitimacy of law enforcement in general. It's not just Ontario police. They are just the most heavily documented. Okay, and they are acting with impunity while they are, again, engaging in what is criminal summoning. Those demons are monitoring me while my panties are down. That's a sex offense. That's exactly how you're going to prosecute Satan that is stalking you in bathrooms via the people. Group stalking in the private space. All right, that's exactly what they're doing. Jay Higgins, E. Guerrero, and the other Guerrero that you hear me, he is addressing me, and we're not friends. Especially if you're going to monitor me, don't say anything to me. You go ahead, talk all around me, saying, but do not talk to me. You are not even on my level. I'm documenting you. You know that I'm documenting you. There's not even anything friendly amongst us. He was disrespecting and harassing me while he was damaging my property before he engaged in kidnapping me, and then you're gonna, with a straight face, communicate to me as though we have anything to talk about. You engaged in kidnapping, and then remember, the entity sought to kidnap me inside of a hospital, a facilitating venue where those demons were engaged in the same exact pattern of conduct. And then he is, with a straight face, after monitoring me with my panties down, a sex offender, a psychopath, an audacious one. All right, so forgive my language again, but this is everything that is relevant to what this demon is saying to me. They are all demon possessed, all of them. This is their condition. I am literally encountering and what is documenting the criminal conduct of the demon possessed. This is Satan that surrounds me. And Satan happens to be wearing police uniforms. That's why I'm naming them. That's why I'm showing you the directed light. That is the direct evidence of their condition while they are showing impunity. Engaging and surrounding around the Ontario Town Square's little concert is no form. You don't have any basis. You're not a legitimate police department. That's called impunity. Okay, and that's why you hear me telling Higgins the truth. He's going to federal prison. He's going. And that's impunity while you are still engaging in what is criminal summoning, while you want to call it some summer concert. That summer concert just got you some more time in federal prison because you're not getting out. They've demonstrated what is an unstable mind state while they are stalking me all night long by helicopter, people. Do you understand that that's what they're going to, that is the material for where you will sit in a mental institution. You want to call that a summer night series or summer concert? That just got you more time. That's more time where you are going to sit in what is federal prison, if not a mental institution. That's where the Ontario Police Department is going. Every single last one. That's why you hear me get those demons' names. I'm taking their pictures. Don't forget how my shadow was lined around my person. You can't reconcile that light activity. You cannot reconcile what's the fake sun remaining over this address all day long where you are there using your police lights. You already know that that's the demonic behavioral pattern. Demons stalking with light in the path. Okay? Demons like Allie crossing paths with them. That's time in federal prison. That little bald-headed, overweight minion is engaging what is criminal monitoring, and she knows that she's been documented before. Her work schedule is no form. It's called impunity. You don't have any legal basis, none whatsoever, and you are clearly engaged in the P.O.C. And this is, again, in the same way that she knows I'm stepping out. That's not coincidental crossing a path, not coincidental timing. She's a group stalker, a demon possessed one. And with regard to what is her knowledge as to where I'm at, demons tracking myself, she also knows that my panties are down, as does this demon that's in the bathroom using a hand dryer as a method of stalking with audible activity. An exceedingly sexually violent and offensive act of group stalking in the bathroom. That's what Higgins and Guerrero and the other Guerrero and Jiggins, or whatever his name is, I documented it. That's what they're engaged in. That's what they were doing. That's what they're doing, okay? Stalking somebody in the bathroom and doing so vicariously while a demon enters, a third party, on their behalf, okay? When you're looking at the entity that's stalking by helicopter ceaselessly, they're not taking a pause from stalking. Who do you think's doing it with them? They do not. They have demonstrated an obsession. They are not taking a pause from that obsession. They are always engaged in criminal monitoring. It is underway while I'm in the bathroom. That's a sex offense. They're doing it with the demons who are stalking with audible activity creation while they're in directed light in the bathroom. Okay? They are engaging in that ongoing obsessive stalking. All I'm doing is I'm walking out and I'm documenting them. And you hear me address Satan with the absence of respect that it deserves. That's why Guerrero got cussed out. And excuse my language, but I mean, that's what that is. 8RPR 392. I don't have any respect for the demon possessed. And you can serve Satan all day long, but you're going to keep me out of the equation. But if you want to include me, you're going to pay the penalty for it. 7HYF211, 8JHX835. 6KVY151. That's these are all engaged in criminal summoning. Metro 102, Ontario Town Square, Ontario Town Square Townhomes, 5NOZ723, 7R75238, 6HWJ144. And let me count my shadows over here. Where these demons are engaged in criminal summoning, you're supposed to look at the outward appearance as though they have some legal authority to be there. They're group stalking together. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 shadows where you're listening to demons sound sirens, which is exactly what those demons were doing last night, while those demons know exactly the moment when I'm sleeping, when I wake up. That's what they were doing all night long. They're not doing anything other than stalking over here. That's why I got all of those names, and they're going to federal prison. Just like you're hearing now, they're going to federal prison. 8RPR 392, that's armed response. Using their sirens and lights is criminal summoning. All right, 9AHV333. And you hear the Ontario International Airport that flew over the Ontario Town Square? The Ontario International Airport engaged in criminal summoning a violent sex offender, and you will be prosecuting venues such as an airport as a sex offender, prosecuting those companies civilly and criminally as a sex offender, in addition to what is removing them from existence altogether while they are fully participating in terrorism, which is exactly what the Ontario International Airport was just documented as engaging in, again, as I'm standing at the Ontario Town Square. 8TVZ441, that's what they're engaging in on an ongoing basis. And by the way, that was American Medical Response, those demons that drive ambulances to what are facilitating venues. Those demons that are monitoring using ambulances are driving to facilitating venues, which are hospitals, where they are engaging in the facilitation of the ongoing pattern of conduct. The demon possessed that work in these hospitals, as I documented at Arrowhead Regional Medical Center, where I was kidnapped and the entity sought to engage in what is defamation as their means of kidnapping under the Welfare and Institutions Code. Well, they're made up information and engaging in what is abuse of the law, okay? Those demons, American Medical Response, are the testimony to what shall be the shutting down of hospitals like Arrowhead Regional Medical Center. They're facilitating venues. They're engaging in terrorism. They are engaging in what is poisoning. They engaged in kidnapping me by force. And then on paper, using the Welfare and Institutions Code as what's supposed to be legally appearing as though they are applying for an additional 14-day hold. Reference Welfare and Institutions Code, sections 5150 and the rest of those sections where you're adding, requesting for a longer hold. That's what they were abusing while they were engaging in the pattern of conduct, and they did it by force. They physically attacked me and poisoned my person. And guess who's engaged in that P.O.C? Demons like American Medical Response, who are stalking on the streets and the highways, going to facilitating venues. 46781W1 is a sex offender, and they're going to federal prison. They're engaged in criminal summoning with the Ontario Police, with American Medical Response, and they're also molesting me intentionally while they are crossing path after engaging in surveillance in the parking lot. Okay? E57OSO, 8UUR523, 8EVW766, 7ZER967, all of them engaged in criminal summoning. All right, and that's, again, with the demons that are American Medical Response, showing you what are, again, the facilitating venues of every hospital, every quote-unquote emergency room that they're driving to. They're group stalking. They are group stalking. They are monitoring. They are demons. to be removed from those positions. This is how the system works. This is exactly how the system works. 8YHU114. (69234K3), 8XJW782, 7FHH038. Excuse me, I think that's 7EHH038, 5YUR443, JMR419. That's an out of state. That is Iowa. Yeah. All right. Also monitoring. You've got what time is it right now? 9:14. Yeah. The venues in relevant position. You've got the B&G Plaza, where the entity is using their vehicles right now with their lights and sirens, criminal summoning. This is going from Ontario Town Square to the B&G Plaza. That's surrounding the perimeter. License EX061 handicap, federal prison. All right. They're monitoring group stalking with the entity that's sounding sirens and using their lights. And that's Andy's Burgers that's engaging in criminal summoning. Shiro's Liquor, like I said, he's from Syria. He's out of this country after he goes to federal prison. That's where he's going. License plate 49747F3. This is all federal prison. I'm just going to read license plates. 7VCR698. 7973 8B3, 7HAE112, 4JKP088. These are all demons who are crossing path, group stalking with the entity that's at the B&G Plaza, using those are the demons of the fire department, no legitimacy. The demons of the Ontario Police Department, no legitimacy. The demons of American Medical Response, no legitimacy. These demons that are crossing path are group stalking with them. They're going to federal prison. All right, they're sitting over here with their lights on. They're relying on demons such as 6XOL952 to cross path. That's federal prison. All right, you got a demon sitting over here at the bus stop with their communication device. They're monitoring. License plate. ONE9OCO. License plate 88KJ317. License plates 74437B3, 8090135. License plate 3VKU 696, 8TWD 170. Yeah, excuse me, 370. This is impunity. All right, the demon possessed, willingly take on federal time. Okay, time in federal prison. They willingly take it on. This is how much of an obsessive stalker they are. License 7EVL968, because that's exactly where they're going. You go into federal prison. License 9BYV594. And again, that's the Ontario Fire Department. Okay, engaged in terrorism. You're going to shut that fire department. They're entirely illegitimate. A wealth of documentation showing those demons in fire trucks stalking with directed light. They're literally engaging in what is shooting out light. And I'm being facetious when I say that, because you're not shooting out light out of a gun or out of your mouth or anything. But I'm speaking to how ridiculously and how fully demon possessed they are, driving around in fire trucks stalking me. Their using of the lights on a fire truck is about me. They're in directed light. The entity that's stalking obsessively by helicopter. And by the way, when you're documented as such a heavy-duty obsessed stalker, there's nothing that you're doing that's going to make you look legitimate or make you look like you're doing anything other than what you are continuously documented as stalking. License plate, group stalking. License 6MCZ313, 8VSS698, 8HNE519, 391ZD handicap, 9BSD665, I believe. I can't really see that one. And it is currently 9:18 p.m. License plate, directed light, 9B CE264, directed light on the asphalt. All right, Tefessa, this is a large coach. They're monitoring, they're engaged in criminal summoning with the Ontario Police, with American Medical Response, with the fire department. And using a commercial means to do so. Tefessa is a commercial vehicle. License 676H, well, I can't really see that one. NNA5YE is Tefessa. 8YXV662. All right, in Shiro's Liquor, where the entity has a fake sun at 7 in the morning, and I'm capturing this. It's setting over me at that same Shiro's Liquor at 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock in the evening. That's the speaking to the demonic environment, where demons are right now using lights and sirens. All right, as I documented, that's called criminal summoning. These demons are engaged in what is a method of surveillance, and these third parties, these minions this is demonic pacing. And it is in no way separate or distinct from it. It's an ongoing, continuous pattern of conduct where the entity is captured stalking by helicopter. You're looking at all the ways in which the entity engages in group stalking. All right. And this is while the entity knows it's being documented. That's why when I'm stating federal prison, you're going for a long time. Impunity is directly relevant to how long you're going to sit there. You like to engage in molesting with directed light. You're going to find yourself in a mental institution. That's where you belong. Play directed light laser tag with the rest of the psychopaths. 8RKW256. By the way, many of those psychopaths are driving American Medical Response, Ontario Fire Department, and Ontario Police Department vehicles. 8PCC154, I believe. 05351Y1. And the people of the state are directly responsible for the stalking conduct, the terrorism by a police department, by fire departments, by ambulances who are stalking, group stalking with them. That's going on their federal charges. They're directly responsible for it. 8XBT254, they're group stalking together. License 7JAR309. Okay, the entity relies on these demons to pace all around. This is how they're acting together. You are directly responsible for it. All right, just want to make sure I capture that. I don't need to get any more license plates of the Ontario. I don't need them. They're fully documented what they're doing. I am prosecuting the entirety of that agency. The Ontario Fire Department is done. The Ontario Police Department is done. American Medical Response as a company, you're understanding what is also relevant. Venues such as San Antonio Regional Hospital, Kaiser Permanente, Arrowhead Regional Medical, facilitating venues, people. Okay, facilitating venues, ongoing facilitation of this very system, engaging in kidnapping, abusing the law, exercising fictitious authority, group stalking in hospitals. Okay, understanding your mind, the type of abuse that's going on. License 7HPF865, that's little Miss Abby, I believe. Well, she's not little, she's overweight. But Miss Abby that works at the facilitating venue of Over Family Community Library, she's engaged in criminal summoning. Right now, she's engaged in multiple acts of criminal summoning. She's definitely going to federal prison, but she's over here group stalking by the 3-star janitorial. License plate 8BQH379 7JMR405 8PON384 8F50080 6WHH292 impunity molesting 8WXW057 8TAK401 license plates 8WQL282 7LDV338 7RMY676. By the way, I don't need the demons of the Ontario Police Department to line up and surround the Over Family Community Library while my panties are down in the bathroom in order for every single last person, every one of them that, for example, worked there, to be prosecuted and subject to time in federal prison, because where you are documenting the pattern of conduct, as I've shown, look at my website, the pattern of conduct, and I'm literally capturing, as I showed you yesterday and again today, that which is not the sun. As I take a picture of it at 7:42 a.m., recall what I documented yesterday at 7:42 a.m. The fake sun's over 215 E.C. Street, which is the Ontario Ovid Family Community Library, which is impossible. At the same time, in that same position in perfect alignment with me. In addition to that, what I captured yesterday at 7:42 a.m., that fake sun remained at the same address of 215 E.C. Street, Ovid Family Community Library, as I captured at 4:06 p.m., as I just step out to show you where that fake sun does not go. It does not go anywhere. It remains right over that address. I want to be clear, that in and of itself is showing what are nothing other than the demon possessed, engaging in what is the use of an establishment to facilitate state surveillance and terrorism with these corrupt agencies, the Ontario Fire Department, the Ontario Police Department, and American Medical Response, a bunch of demons driving around in ambulances, psychopaths sounding sirens, indirect, I mean, seriously unstable psychopaths. License 86149F2. That's the P.O.C. as I'm capturing it at the library. AWDA099, where I happen to remain all day long. 5HAH438. 8PKG168. 5W34025, demonic pacing. This is terrorism, and it's criminal summoning. 8LRG621, license 8VCF944. And this is the people that's communicating an ongoing determination to continue group stalking you. 7ZTA 917, because that's what they're doing. License 6NBJ 578, 8USJ 690, 8WYV 535, and they're all going to federal prison. License 7PFV 318. Alrighty, and the agency is engaging in what is facilitating ongoing terrorism. The entity that's engaging in group stalking, monitoring with these demons who will sit in federal prison for what is criminal summoning. While demons use fire trucks, ambulances, and police vehicles with their lights and sirens, that's criminal summoning. It's facilitating, and it's occurring in the specific environment. Demons stalk with light in the specific environment. The entity is, and you are stalking, that's why that unnatural environment is occurring ceaselessly day and night. It's called group stalking. It's demonic activity. You are serving time in federal prison, and that's speaking to what is, again, the illegitimacy of those agencies. Documented engaging in terrorism, you're plucking, the federal government is addressing that by absolutely removing them from existence. They're entirely illegitimate, and they are literally a pus-infected wound to society as they are caught and engaging in this criminal system with the people of the state. These are, again, breaking it down to what they're really doing, these are demons pacing all around me. 6FLD 719. Monitoring with the Ontario Fire Department, American Medical Response, and the Ontario Police Department. License 7DHG 144. License 5RGP 012. 9BCB 647. You do not forget the evidence that has already established the pattern of conduct that's underway. What Satan does, and what Satan is hoping that you do, which you're not going to do that. All right, you have been trained in the ways. 7YRT682, and by trained, what I mean is you have been paying attention to what I'm showing you about how Satan operates, or what you're paying attention to about the environment that's unnatural. License 5YNL095. License 7X, I can't really see that, 7YXZ995, I believe, HN525 handicap. And what Satan is doing is hoping that you forget about what I just showed you, not only this morning, but yesterday. And how about 365 days before that, because it was the fake sun then, 8RTA774. You're not going to forget about what the entity's doing with the fake sun that would never be present over 215 EC Street when I'm taking the bus and I'm going to Fontana, and I remain at the Fontana Lewis Library for the duration of the day. And during that time, what was the entity doing? Keeping the fake sun over Sierra Avenue through the window of that library, as though the sun was setting there. That's not over any entrance of the Ovid Family Community Library, over that parking garage. There certainly would be no sunlight inside of that parking garage under either circumstances ever. But this is the pattern of conduct. Satan is hoping that you forget that. All right, the entity had a fake sun for 9 hours from 7:42 a.m. until 4:06 p.m. yesterday. 8CWM 778, 8RQD 850. 7NBR 650, 8KLR 349, 200571, 8HIU 894, 7GLW 299, FSKM DASZ 64, 6JIH 074, 6AAZ 515, and that's how you know the condition of every single last one of them. That's an entirely unnatural environment. It's an impossibility, a scientific impossibility per NASA, but I captured it. All right, and I believe these are the demons of the Ontario Police. Yeah, it is. License 1576886, vehicle 1011, another one that's going to federal prison. All right, demons that are under what is a fake sun that's remaining at the Ovid Family Community Library while I'm there. An entirely impossible occurrence while it's remaining in Rancho Cucamonga while I'm there. 8UIP 988, federal prison. 5CRT 299, federal prison. License EP 13535. EP 13535. And they're also molesting, they're group stalking. That's a large truck. All right, so this is what the entity is doing and hoping that you forget. No. Once you've captured the demonic, meaning the environment that people are around you in, speaking to an unnatural environment, speaking to what is a pattern of conduct, it's in that impossible environment is occurring for a very specific reason. While you are subject to what is harassment and stalking by police, this is the P.O.C, and the police are doing it with the people of the state, all of whom are demons. That's why you have what is a fake sun over you at a single address from 7:40 in the morning to 4:06 p.m. And that's just because that's when I took another picture. All right, that's all. That's the reason why that is. Let me show you this police. You like to engage in stalking, that's why you're going to federal prison. All right? They're going out of their way to communicate a threat. License 1576886. This is what these psychopaths do while they're stalking by helicopter, and guess who that is? Burnett, who's going to federal prison. That's Burnett, who's going to federal prison.
Do you need any help tonight?
That's Burnett who's going to. No, you need help. I'm gonna put you away. You're going. You have serious issues, Burnett. License. He's driving vehicle 1011. I took a picture of him. He's in directed light. This is the psychopath that engaged in kidnapping. This is the psychopath that engaged in criminal summoning at 325 West G Street. This is the psychopath that engaged in molestation with flashlight, stalking with light, and he is again showing how he belongs in a mental institution. That's where he's going. All right. This is Jay Burnett again. Badge number 19993. 1576886 is the license plate. Vehicle 1011. All right. And that's exactly what I mean. It's not just that officer. It's the Ontario Police Department. Very unstable psychopaths. While they are hostile because I'm documenting. And guess what? I'm going to continue to document because the people of the state are of that same condition. They're going to sit in federal prison while Jay Burnett comes to communicate a threat on behalf of 9BCE891, who's group stalking with that police department. That's federal prison. All right, communicating a threat while that police officer that engaged in kidnapping is group stalking. That's an intent to communicate and show hostility by a psychopath. 7SNX003. Do not forget Sharon with Securitas. She's communicating a threat as well. Monitoring with the Ontario Police Department, who's going out of their way to have a demon-possessed psychopath who has also engaged in kidnapping, a specific threat intended with that. And this one that's engaged in an ongoing pattern of stalking, okay? Not only after he kidnapped, he continuously engages in showing his face to continue stalking me. 8VDL250. That's the people of the state that are going to federal prison. They're communicating that threat as one. Understand, that's how you're analyzing that. And they also want to be a distraction from what was the 10 plus hours of a fake sun over the Ovid Family Community Library. 6VRP586. You're not going to be distracted, but pay attention to the tactics of Satan. He's going to sit in what is a mental institution. That's right. And of course, this is what I'm speaking. It's not just Burnett that's a psychopath and a sex offender and a stalker, a demon-possessed one. It's the Ontario Police, all of them. 85915W2, 56995K3, 6YZX937, license CAJ5, CAJF38, that's out of state. License 8RSK018, 7YWJ183. License 9AIU554. And let me be clear, the entity wants me to stop talking about. That's why they go to this result, to their own demise. 8PDZ852 is going to federal prison as well. You like group stalking with kidnappers like Officer Jay Burnett of the entirely illegitimate and demon-possessed and corrupt police department, the Ontario Police. They're group stalking with them. 8RDZ422, 5LXN347. They're all going to federal prison. All right, and they are all group stalking around the venue of the Ovid Family Community Library, where again 742. I'm gonna repeat it because that's what Satan doesn't want me to state. That's why Officer Jay Burnett, a demon that's playing dress up, he's not a genuine officer. They're criminals that are wearing police badges until the day they are dragged in federal court. That's literally what Satan is waiting on. All right, and this is the same police department that I'm capturing day and night, stalking by helicopter. All right, that's Jay Burnett. That's a psychopath. All right, and get license. Oh, I can't see no license plate on that. And this entity is doing so again while I'm speaking the truth. 740. It's on my website. 7:42 a.m. It's enlarged so you can see it. The fake sun is glaring over my head. And by the way, this morning, what did I do? I'm at the museum still at 7:42 a.m. But again, yesterday at 7:42 a.m., the fake sun remained right over me as I went to facilitating venue, who's monitoring group stalking with the Ontario Police, the Fire Department, and American Medical Response. Shiro's Liquor. The fake sun remains over me over there. That's a facilitating venue. And then as I walk up Plum Avenue to the venue of the Ovid Family Community Library at 7:42 a.m., that's where the fake sun is. It is not over the side, the same exact side where I'm located this morning at 7:42 a.m. But again, moreover, the fake sun is remaining from 7:42 a.m. and I step out at 4:06 p.m. so that you can see what is over my head, an absolute impossible occurrence, nonetheless captured because the world needs to understand what is occurring. The impossible is occurring. And what is the impossible? It's the demonic. 8VIH523 is a demon-possessed third-party group stalker stalking with the police. Federal prison, 8YCV417. This is where the entity is stalking with police, fire, and ambulance, engaging in communicating a threat with this demon-possessed police department that kidnapped me. All right, a specific actor that has engaged in repeated acts of obsessive and demented stalking methods. Burnett is who I'm referencing. 8VDM663, 8NSA015. That's the information that Satan wants you to forget while I'm documenting group stalking. 8EER562 while they're doing so with the police. Grounds of federal prison. 00255R2. You don't forget that. That's what I mean by you're not going to forget that. That's not separate and distinct, and so you're starting over today. That demonic environment is ceaselessly underway, and it's not just yesterday. My documentation is full of bombshells after bombshells after bombshells, showing you what is a demonic environment. These are a bunch of demons that are stalking, and they act with impunity where they're surrounded with that level of evidence. 8TBF728 is an operation of their communication device stalking with the police, and they're going to federal prison. 6UQH513. All right, these are demons. This is not traffic. These are demons that are engaging in, oh man, I know she's documented. I know she's getting that license plate, but I'm finna. This is exactly what they're doing. And let me be clear. You are going to federal prison. What I'm showing you is an ongoing determination. That's how much of an obsessed stalker they are. They know that they're being documented. They know that I'm documenting upon the world scene. That is a direct threat. It's really happening. You are going to be prosecuted. You will be sitting in federal prison and in mental institutions, and they are still engaging in it regardless of that. That is speaking to what is not a crazy person that doesn't know what they're doing. That's not in any way suggesting that the pattern of conduct is not underway. The directed light does not cease to exist. The documented pattern of stalking by the police does not cease to exist. These demons that are stalking and molesting with directed light does not cease to exist. It's not suggesting that the P.O.C. is not underway. Let me get this demon coming from the back corner, tracking my steps, stalking with the police. 7WHC389 is going to federal prison. All right, they're engaged in, these are psychopaths engaged in surveillance back here while I'm standing on Holt. They are back here on transit in relevant position. They know where I'm at. And so they're crossing path coming from the back street. They're maintaining presence. It's like hopscotch, or no, not hopscotch. It's like a double dutch for crossing path. All right, whenever, based on what I'm doing as I'm doing it. And you have the Ontario airport migrating as I migrate. Okay, walking toward the museum. That's why they're not flying over the Ontario Town Square anymore, because this is where I'm at. Everything that I documented is going toward the prosecution of those demons flying airplanes, stalking all night, just like I captured on my podcast and like I captured on video after 12 o'clock in the morning. Obsessed stalking. All right, doing so flying directly over the side of the museum where I'm at, just like you saw that fake sun over the side of the museum where I'm at. Okay, just like the entity was amplifying impossible audible activity of helicopters over the side of the museum where I'm at. Stalking with the police and the international airport. That's terrorism. 5PYY058. Some dirty looking minions crossing path in that vehicle, tracking my steps, maintaining presence, crossing path with light. All right, so the entity is engaging in this specific environment, and you're not going to forget that environment when you are documenting. So and of course you're not, because that's why I gave you another reminder. Oh, I captured yesterday. This is a 9 hours, okay? Approximately 9 hours, 7:42 a.m. And remember, I just stepped out at 4:06 p.m. just to capture that, to make my point yet again. But I could have stepped out at 5 o'clock and that fake sun would have been there. Stepped out at 6 o'clock, and as I've already shown you, the entity's fake sun is there at 5:45 p.m. where that police department, that demon-possessed, entirely illegitimate police department is with a straight face using their police vehicles as though it's anything other than their group stalking system, which has been fully exposed. That is prosecuted as impunity. All right, where you act with impunity, you sit in federal prison for a long time. Okay, you are sick. You're very, very sick, and you're engaging in that which is you're trying, as though you are communicating to an American citizen who has a right to not be subject to your demonic conduct, your terrorism, and your stalking patterns, that you are somehow above the law. No demon wearing police uniform is above the law, and no pissant third parties stalking me in their vehicles are above the law. And you're going to teach Satan that across the board. Vidco Foods and Ryder group stalking, crossing paths with the police. That's relevant to how you're going to prosecute them criminally. They're engaged in terrorism while they're stalking with the police, facilitating the police who are group stalking. And they're doing so with terrorists like Jay Burnett, badge number 19993. All right. So anyway, the entity is engaging in this conduct, and the entity is doing so in that specific environment. And so as I'm capturing the fake sun, this is a 9 hour time span, 7:42 a.m. to 4:06. I've captured it even later than that. I was just making an example. Do not be deceived. Don't be confused. I've captured the fake sun well after 6 o'clock. I've documented this already. I was just making an example. 7:42 a.m., 4:06 p.m. All right, that's where the entity is keeping that fake sun right over my head at the same address. That's where the entity is surrounding the buildings where Higgins and Guerrero and the other Guerrero who got cussed out, excuse my language, but I'm dealing with a demon-possessed sex offender, all right, who is then going to come and monitor me in my face. You're a whole psychopath. All right. And you're a sex offender and a kidnapper. OK. And you are in the environment where you are. So when I communicate, when I'm looking at these demons, I'm like, you are a delusional psychopath. You are totally surrounded with evidence. And it is flabbergasting that you stand here communicating as though you look like anything other than what you are. I have gone to the nth degree, and they are shown to be the demon-possessed and entirely corrupt and illegitimate police department that they are. That's already shown. So what are they doing? They're showing their delusion. They are showing their mental instability. Satan standing there on a bike. I'm a police officer, Erica. I'm a police officer. No, you're not, Satan. You're a criminal. You're a stalker and a sex offender. And that's the truth. Everything that I'm stating, I have shown, I have established it with evidence. Okay, and for example, there is no reconciling what is the fake son that is over his head at 10:29 a.m. on video, abusing my property after I told him do not touch my property, which he had no right to touch under any circumstances. He had no right to touch it. All right, but I'm showing you yesterday, 7:42 in the morning, the fake son is at that address. So 7:42 a.m. to 10:29 a.m. where the fake son is over him on June 16, 2022. Let's just look at that right now. That's the 2+ hours of what's the fake sun remaining at the address, and that light source remains there until after 4 o'clock in the afternoon. That's just what I documented yesterday. But let me be clear. When the entity kidnapped me on June 16th, that fake sun didn't remain over that entrance. It remained right over the police vehicles. Medina and Guerrero were driving. That fake sun remained right over the car that I was inside of where they were kidnapping. Those were demons that were kidnapping me. And the facilitating venue where that ongoing surveillance with the people of the state was underway was that very police vehicle. Following to what was West Valley. It was hovering over my head at West Valley in Rancho Cucamonga. It did not remain over the entrance of the Ovid Family Community Library. But of course, you already know, based on the scientific facts that NASA has parroted to you, lying to you about how the environment works, that the sun, based on the definition that's provided to us in our science books, okay, what NASA's talking about, the sun would never remain present over one address, such as 215 East C Street, or any address for the duration of the day, including 9 hours anyway. But that's exactly what I documented. But I want to be clear, when that officer who you hear, Guerrero, he's not an officer, that's a demon, playing dress up. When that demon who you heard, Guerrero, who got cussed out a little bit, excuse my language again, but the one that you hear addressing me, he is under what is a fake sun while he is engaging in what is kidnapping and harassment and abuse of my property. All right. On June 16, 2022, he's under that fake sun. That yesterday remained for 9 hours over the address, but on the date of June 16, 2022, it did not remain there. It remained over that police vehicle that he kidnapped me inside of. It remained over the sheriff's department where they kidnapped me inside of the West Valley Detention Center. And then it remained over the sheriff's department vehicle who kidnapped me and took me to Arrowhead Regional Medical Center. This is why I documented this in images and in video. You saw directed light inside of Arrowhead Regional Medical Center, tinted blue light on the walkway inside of the depths of that hospital lobby room of the behavioral health area. That's impossible light activity, by the way, absolutely impossible light activity, but that's the pattern of conduct. There's no sunlight that's reaching, and that's certainly not coming from the lights in the ceiling. That's not coming from any building lights. That was a P.O.C. Those demons that were wearing scrubs were pacing all around. They were monitoring me while my body was chained up, while they were prepared to engage in an ongoing criminal continuation of kidnapping with the Sheriff's Department, originating with the Ontario Police Department and the people of the state, while they engaged in criminal defamation, abuse of welfare and institutions code, which again, who are you going to think about? The pattern of conduct is out here on the streets, on the roads and the highways with these demons, American Medical Response. Demons that are monitoring, demons that are kidnapping, demons that are abusing the law, stating that a target individual, for example, is crazy or posing a threat to the public. Those are demons operating ambulances and creating information that is defamatory in order to be kidnapped inside of facilitating venues such as Arrowhead Regional Medical Center. Just want to point that out. That's why it's directly relevant what I documented about American Medical Response, what I have documented for a long time about those demons. They're criminals and they're demons. All right, they're in positions that they have no business in. They're facilitating the pattern of conduct with facilitating venues such as hospitals and mental wards. All right, so anyway, the entity is keeping that fake sun for 9 hours, like I stated yesterday, over the Ovid Family Community Library, and that is not the case on June 16th. It remained over me, over the police vehicle that I was kidnapped in, over the Sheriff's Department where I was kidnapped, over the Sheriff's Department vehicle that I was kidnapped in, taken to the venue of the Arrowhead Regional Medical Center where I remained kidnapped, and where those demons kept a fake sun. That's exactly what I showed you when I was released from kidnapping upon having to advocate on my own behalf, and that's only because of the legal skill set that I have. Understand how this is an exception. The ordinary targeted individual may very likely not have the ability or the knowledge or even the wherewithal, and not because they suffer from some mental incapacity, but because they have been so beaten down, been so oppressed, been drugged and poisoned, for example. And you're talking about what is just sitting there trapped. What are you supposed to do? And they're sitting there silent, and that's the purpose of the system. All right, but I advocated on my own behalf, exercising my right to represent myself in what was a fictitious act of authority. They don't have authority under the law to hold any sort of administrative hearings. All right, but I'm entertaining the nonsense. I'm entertaining these demons while they're exercising this fictitious authority because I'm documenting and I'm going to prosecute it, and you're going to address it under this prosecution of a state. This is how they're facilitating kidnappings in the state. All right. And that's Arrowhead Regional Medical Center, where I also captured video of the fake sun right outside of my window. OK, not anywhere over 215 East C Street, where these demons are engaging in what is criminal summoning, stalking with the people of the state. Obsessive stalking is what I'm documenting by the people of the state. Those minions working at the Ontario Town Square, Satan that's smirking on their face, a smirk on their face. That's a psychopath. They don't find it funny while they're being documented, and it's certainly not funny while you're being shown surrounded with what are multiple shadows. That you look weird. And I'm pointing out this weird environment. What is funny about that? That's weird. I wouldn't be laughing at that if I saw that and I was not aware of it. These are psychopaths. This is Satan that finds it funny as you point out what is very damning evidence against him. And that's the personnel, the employees of Ontario Town Square Townhomes, group stalking with the police. Alrighty, this is where the entity is engaging in that P.O.C. But nonetheless, it is currently 9:43 p.m. There's a lot of documentation to take in. This is P.O.C. That's the very Ontario Police Department that was group stalking at the Ontario Town Square, like I stated, engaged in the same exact ceaseless pattern of conduct, and following me to the museum where I documented they were group stalking at Ontario Town Square, demons using fire trucks, police vehicles, and ambulances, and also at the B&G Plaza using their vehicles for criminal summoning. Following to the museum in directed light, crossing path, engaged in an ongoing obsessive stalking. And every third party that I documented, like I stated, is going to federal prison. They're stalking with the police. They're stalking with the police right now. They're maintaining traffic, and the entity is also stalking again while in relevant position to the museum where I'm at. Emporia Place, that's in a property over here. The people of the state live in relevant position, stalking on transit over here, using their vehicles and methods of light activity, stalking in the path, traffic is demonic pacing, and the Ontario Police Department is indeed engaging in what is group stalking by helicopter. This demon, going by the name of Jay Burnett, badge number 19993, is crossing path as I'm documenting on my podcast. This is the entity that's stalking by helicopter. He is communicating a threat, stalking me in a police vehicle where I'm documenting the people of the state, reminding you about the fake sun that remained over 215 East C Street, where the Ontario Police Department tonight were stalking in the path, engaged in criminal summoning. That fake sun, as I documented it yesterday, and as it engaged in today as well, this is always the pattern of conduct at the facilitating venues where I remain. The entity, for an excess of 9 hours, as I'm documenting 7:42 a.m. to 4:06 p.m. This is the facilitating venue. That is the Ovid Family Community Library, where the Ontario Police Department are group stalking. That's the Ontario Police Department group stalking by helicopter. That's exactly what I documented. Those demons going by the name of Guerrero, E. Guerrero, and Jay Higgins, all right? I documented them, I believe Hodgins. I documented all of their names. They're going to federal prison, every single last one of them, okay? This is P.O.C. It is currently 10:16 p.m. and the Ontario Police Department is not going anywhere. They're flying in circles around me. They are stalking, flying over me all night long. They're doing it in directed light, demonstrating what is demon possession, engaging in demonic activity, criminal monitoring, group stalking with the demon possessed that are the people of the state as well. This is P.O.C. All right, I am capturing video. What you're listening to in the background, that's the absence of the actual train. That's demonic activity that Union Pacific is contributing while they're listening to me upload my video. So you're listening to that in the background. The entity engages in what is the prolonging sound of what's supposedly a train. The entity uses that as a means of stalking with audible activity. All right, that's what you're hearing in the background. I want to make sure I include that, but that is indeed the video captured at what is 10:14 p.m. That's Union Pacific engaging in what is audible activity, demonic conduct, terrorism, and molestation while I'm here at the Museum of History and Arts. This is P.O.C. Go. Flying directly over. Not going anywhere. This is demonic pacing and engineered light, amplified audible activity. And I want to be clear, the Ontario International Airport is flying right over me as well. Union Pacific is pacing around, amplified audible activity. This is impossible light activity where they are stalking, where I have multiple shadows. I want to be clear. Let me see. When I'm walking, let me show you something. This is my shadow. First of all, this is impossible light activity. It's upright at a distance on the wall. While I walk here, this shadow rapidly moves in front of me, okay? And then it joins up. This is entirely impossible light activity. It has nothing to do with what would be normal light activity, okay? That's not light that occurs for me. This is a downward trajectory. This is creating multiple shadows. This is where these demons are stalking the Ontario Police Department. Doing so, again, showing their mental instability. With a straight face, group stalking at the Ontario Town Square. By the way, doing exactly what I stated. Those are demons that know that my panties are down, that are stalking vicariously through the sex offenders that are the people that stay inside of that women's restroom, stalking with audible activity, engaged in the ongoing same exact pattern of conduct, flying back and forth in engineered light, in directed light, demonstrating demon possession, engaging in demonic pacing all over me all night long. That's all they're doing. These are minions. These are demons. And that's why Guerrero got cussed out, okay? Again, forgive my language on my podcast, but this is Satan. This is Satan that I am addressing. This is Satan that I'm prosecuting. This is Satan that I'm exposing. All right, this is P.O.C. And those demons aren't going anywhere. They're flying over me all night long. I want to document this because they're going to sit in mental institutions. Guerrero is the sex offender that I'm pointing him out to the world. That's exactly what he is. All right, and he's a demon-possessed sex offender that is, again, the same police department that is entirely illegitimate, stalking someone all night long, all day long, group stalking in the different methods. Group stalking around the Ontario Ovid Family Community Library with their lights on. Those are demons that are engaged in criminal summoning, using lights and audible activity, using their sirens. It's activity creation in the specific environment. That's why I look at my pictures on the Google Drive, my shadow, 3 of them surrounding my person while I'm standing by those demons, going by the name of Guerrero and Higgins. Those are demons. Monitoring while my panties are down in the bathroom. Stalking, flying over me by helicopter all night long, in directed light, an absolutely impossible occurrence. This is absolutely abnormal light activity. This is a 3rd shadow. This is 1, 2. All right, this is P.O.C. Alrighty, it is currently 10:25 p.m. This is the unstable, demon-possessed entity, Jay Burnett. Documented, understand that's a demon that engaged in kidnapping. This is all relevant to everybody I just documented. They're going to federal prison, and this is the evidence with which you place those type of actors in mental institutions. While they're having a field day right now, Satan's having a field day flying over me back and forth. This is the evidence that's going to put them in mental institutions. This is P.O.C. All right, you're listening to the ongoing terrorism and harassment by an entity engaged in the P.O.C. Union Pacific, including itself in this audible activity as I'm uploading my video. They're monitoring. The entity also sounding sirens in the background as well. If you're picking that up, the entity is monitoring while I'm engaging in documentation of my podcast. This is the video captured at what is 10:22 p.m. Union Pacific is engaging in what is the ongoing obsessive activity creation. Union Pacific is engaged in what is demonic. It's audible activity in directed light. It has nothing to do with what is a physical train that's on the tracks either. The entity does so with regard to while I'm waking up as I fall asleep, using that same exact method of audible activity to stalk with audible activity. You're listening to demonic conduct by a company which you are identifying, prosecuting them civilly and criminally. This is what the demons are using as a means of stalking with audible activity, in other words. Right now, they are including themselves in my documentation of this video that I captured at 10:22 p.m. while the Ontario Police Department, demons that were stalking at the Ovid Family Community Library and stalking at the museum, just like I was stating while I was in front of those demons, telling them that they're going to federal prison, telling them, identifying them as the sex offenders that they are, the demon possessed, and that's why the entity is pacing above me by helicopters, because that's exactly what that was. It was the P.O.C. Criminal summoning is a means of the ongoing system of surveillance and terrorism, and that system is ceaselessly underway, as I captured in this video at 10:22 p.m., where Union Pacific is engaging in what is ongoing surveillance conduct, activity creation, and directed light, ongoing harassment, which the entity also utilizes while it is harassing, as I am, again, sleep, the demons knowing when you're conscious and unconscious. Union Pacific engages in that very conduct where there's not even a train on the tracks, and they're using it as a means of harassment. So I just want to include that analysis while you're listening to Union Pacific literally include itself in the documentation. So that's fine. That's why they can do that. I'm going to be prosecuting them. And it's currently 10:34 p.m. This is P.O.C. That's the Ontario International Airport, equally engaged in ongoing obsessive stalking, flying directly over the side of the museum, which you see. I captured images of this. You're going to see what is a commercial plane flying right over me. You're going to see also the directed light, which I'm capturing that in the video that you just listened to. This is what this is the demonic pacing that the airport is engaging in. Union Pacific is engaged in demonic pacing, contributing largely what is amplified audible activity and the demonic behavioral pattern of using that audible activity as a method of stalking with audible activity and harassment. Doing so while they are cooperating with an entirely demon-possessed and corrupt police department that's placing me under surveillance. And I want to be clear, the Ontario International Airport is just doing this all day long. The entity is vacillating, acting in concert, which I've shown at every other venue. This is exactly what the entity was doing outside of 630 North Fern while I'm in the car. The Ontario International Airport flying over Fern Avenue obsessively, amplifying plane activity, stalking by helicopter, the demons of the Ontario Police Department, molesting with directed light, flashing directed light all over the venue. All right, it's the same exact pattern of conduct. Doing it here because this is where I'm at, and that is the ongoing, irreducible direct evidence of what is, again, I'm pointing out what I captured already because I've already shown the P.O.C. All of those demons that I, again, captured more, those employees of Ontario Town Square so proudly joining that demon, Higgins, I believe this is his name, where he's group stalking, and they so proudly sit by him in directed light, monitoring in plain sight, psychopaths smirking on their face while they are literally being prosecuted for an exceedingly violent sex offense that is group stalking. which they actually don't find funny whatsoever. That's what Satan does. While you document the entity stalking you by helicopter, which no police department wants that on the news, Satan will laugh as though it's funny. Those are demons, okay? That Ontario Town Square, where the police department, that same police department that I'm capturing, stalking by helicopter, this is where the Ontario International Airport is pacing over. Those are demons flying planes repeatedly. This is ritualistic conduct. This is psychopath conduct, one after another, after another, after another, after another, after another, after another. This is satanic, and they're doing it in directed light, creating amplified audible activity. All right, and they're doing so again where I remain. That's where that conduct occurs and remains. In addition to what is a whole environment, which is speaking to what is satanic. You have an airport engaging in what is terrorism while they're practicing satanic conduct, placing another under surveillance. That is what the entity is doing, and this is captured again. It's reflected in the images that I capture. You'll see the airport using a commercial airline plane. It's flying right over me, and I'm reminding you about the directed light that's at the venue. That's direct evidence. The fact of directed light, irreconcilable light which is not in any way attributable to a light that's hanging anywhere on the property. It's shooting horizontally. My shadow is upright. You've got the enlarged size of the column. This is directed light. You are creating any sort of activity in that environment. I want to be clear. That's facilitation, period. Facilitating a government's ability to monitor, which is threatening the life of an American citizen, has no legal argument, no legal basis. But beyond that, the Ontario International Airport is heavily documented as a group stalker, and there is no reasonable question about that. But just want to point that out. There is no defense for engaging in facilitation. Okay, which is what demons are counting on. Oh, I live here. I don't know what you're talking about. I'm not stalking. How can I be stalking where I live? Oh, I don't even know what you're talking about. I'm not stalking. I work here. I'm at work. What are you talking about? I don't know anything about. Okay. Well, I don't work for the police. I don't know what you're talking about. I don't work with the police. I didn't talk to the police. This is what demons are relying on. Okay, and so just showing the beginning to the end of that whole corrupt system. All right, the Ontario Police. Oh no, that's the demons of the Ontario Fire Department. Criminal summoning. All right, and they're on traffic cameras. Their lights are on, amplified audible activity of sirens, 10:39 p.m. as I'm speaking the truth about what is the absence of legal argument by what are demons who are woefully unprepared for the prosecution of group stalking. They rely on the fact that they may live somewhere, work somewhere, or they're shopping somewhere, as though that's going to be even relevant. I'm going to tell you why it's relevant. It's relevant for what's proof of your presence. And your presence, Satan, is not coincidental. It's not accidental. It's not ignorant either. It's a malicious criminal system of a bunch of demons placing you under surveillance. That's the Ontario Fire Department engaging in criminal summoning again for the second time tonight. All right. It is currently 10:39 p.m. The Ontario International Airport engaging in that, reflected in those images, is what it's doing all night long. All right. This is P.O.C.